C-391. The shadow that attacked me immediately disappeared between the ships. No matter how powerful the creature's genes are, it is not easy for humans to fight and win against an adult imorph. This is because physical differences cannot be ignored. They probably act like that because they know that fact. I think I brought good equipment instead. Zuzuzuzu, how many people were there? Open corner bracket 3. Yule level. Equipment. Where? I even checked the pistol and sniper rifle. Isabel spoke after checking the enemy's information for a short period of time. Open corner bracket, the rest of the time is short, I didn't see it. His special benefits only work if you see them with your own eyes. Because the enemy quickly hid himself, it seemed like they couldn't confirm everything. Still, I'm glad I saw some important equipment. First of all, it was clear that the pistol was something Isabel had obtained through a contract with Vortex 1. This is because the attack method was the same as the pistol that he saw in his memory. And a sniper rifle. This is also something I know. Sniper rifle is a nickname passed around among players, and the official name is separate. The nickname is ordinary, but the power is not ordinary. The official name is giant gun. Among rankers, the most common sniper rifle is the giant gun. Unlike the sniper coil gun, which supports a variety of bullets, the giant gun is a weapon that supports only one bullet. The problem is that those special ammo are very troublesome. Microorganisms collected from specific organisms are stored inside the giant gun's dedicated bullets. When the special bullet gets stuck in the target's body, it releases the microorganisms contained within it. These microorganisms travel through the blood vessels of the attacked opponent and block all healing abilities. Even a morph's recovery and regeneration related characteristics all become ineffective. Right now, I don't have any characteristics that can block the effects of that special bullet. After a certain period of time, microorganisms naturally disappear, but until then, their ability to recover is sealed. So you have to be careful not to get hit at all costs. I approached the enemy fleet while focusing on the auxiliary engines. As the distance between each other narrowed, anti-ship drones poured out in droves from the Star Union ships. Some of the outspacers that were with Megacorp's fleet also went out to intercept me. Open corner bracket stationmaster, Duran. PS-111 said after seeing the drone in the shape of an equilateral triangle. That drone has no attack capabilities, but can instead create a powerful force field. It is a combat weapon mainly used when fighting outspacers or metallic gremlins, which mainly use physical attacks. As the large lens at the bottom of the equilateral triangle illuminated, a strong cohesive energy field was formed in front of me. I steered downward and out of range of the force field. There, many naval aircraft were waiting for me. The small plasma guns mounted on the aircraft fired fire all at once. It was possible to avoid it, but this time I chose to break through. Hundreds or thousands of plasma bullets hit my body. There are too many of them to avoid them all. I accelerated toward the carrier planes while being showered with plasma. At that time, I felt a particularly threatening attack mixed among the numerous energy bullets. I bent my neck to avoid the shadows sniping. A small projectile about 30 centimeters in size passed over the carapace. Also, I expected it to come out like this from the moment the shadows used the fleet as cover to hide. I activated the dark shroud as I flew. It is difficult to see the light of the fog-forming type in a situation where the opponent has prepared a force field drone. The reason I wrote it even though I knew that was because it was aimed at me. The black mist emitted from the biological pipe continued along the path I had taken. The aircraft immediately stopped their attack, and instead, a group of force field drones and outspacers came forward. The drones predicted the direction I was moving and formed a force field. Large and small flying monsters, including outspacers equipped with biological cannons and collecting bugs, surrounded me surrounded by a force field. These guys are gathered together and narrowing the siege. I got caught. After waiting for this, I took out the number I had prepared. Strange colors seep into the surface of the upper, which is a mixture of red and black. An eerie light, as if possessing malice, converges on the tentacles of the monster on its head. Soon, a psychic bubble strengthened with the color of the abyss came out of my body. A voracious predator wanders through the fog in search of prey. Having been hit by the color of the abyss once before in version 02, they will know how lethal this bubble is. They tried to retreat, but force fields everywhere impeded their escape. While my enhanced psychic breath engulfed the gathered enemies, I stopped creating the veil and escaped through the gap in the force field. Not far from the curtain, I sense a particularly small object among the aircraft carriers. Open corner bracket 3 o'clock ahead, pistol. As soon as I heard Isabel's thought wave, I immediately shook my head. One end of my horn was hit by a pistol and liquefied. From the moment you first encounter it, it has been persistently aiming for your head. I guess it's because they heard information about me. The one whose attack failed tries to retreat. Since you've already been hit twice, I can't let you go like this. The temperature of the large thorns sticking out here and there on my back rises rapidly. The moment the heat reached its limit, thorns were launched forward. The aircraft that were blocking the front exploded after being hit by a thorn the size of an adult man and heated up with heat. I chased the shadow through the explosion. The jetpack attached to his back worked well, so he was able to get around easily. But no matter how good the equipment you use, you can't be faster than me in my hunting state. The tentacles that were sleeping inside the stomach came out to grab the enemy. The tentacle appendages were about to snatch the guy, but Isabel urgently fired a thought wave. Careful. From a distance, a small-sized bullet approaches the tip of my tentacle at high speed. A shadow holding a giant gun provided support fire. It's already too late to bite the tentacle. At that time, PS-111, riding on its back, responded. Open corner bracket twice. No, no. Before the special bullet hit the appendage, it fired a series of shots with the demolisher implanted in its tail. One of the dark blue energy bullets intercepted an incoming 30 centimeters bullet. It was truly an art that was possible thanks to the assistance of a high-performance computer, but the ending was clumsy. This is because the shadow that was running away was also hit by an energy bullet. The person who was hit by the material decomposing bullet was unable to respond properly and turned into dust. Because it is a symbol of hunting, you can obtain a lot of genetic essence by feasting on shadows. I unfortunately missed that great opportunity. I can't help it. Still, I guess I'm glad I succeeded in catching one of those pesky shadows. I retrieved the pistol floating in space with my tentacles and handed it to Isabel. Good. Very. Okay. The pistol was recovered. Next time. At the moment when they were trying to avoid the firing angle of the battleship's main guns and enter the enemy camp, a large number of movements were detected behind them. What? I thought they were ship-based planes, but they weren't. The people chasing me were actually collecting bugs with foam all over their bodies. Several insects, half of their bodies missing due to the colored bubbles of the abyss, are trying to cling to my tail. Just before he was covered in foam, Isabel used Vortex 1's pistol. The collecting bugs that approached me disappeared like sand castles swept away by the waves. Hey, Morph. Is it okay? Zuzuzu, thanks. It would have been dangerous if Isabel had not reacted quickly. The moment the psychic breath, strengthened by the color of the abyss, touches a living enemy, it spreads continuously until all organic matter is consumed. It may seem like you can easily prevent it by quickly wiping away the foam the moment it gets on it, but that's not easy. Because those ominous glowing bubbles inflict extreme pain on biological enemies. Even outspacers, which do not have intelligence in lower-level entities, are unable to move properly. Because of this, most of the enemies hit by the foam were unable to move and suffered in pain until they died. Fourth place seems to have caught this point and completely eliminated the perception of collecting bugs. So that we can continue to fight even if we are hit by a bubble. Additionally, gathering bugs are expendable assault units that approach and fight enemies. It is also possible to move the foam from the body as long as you approach the other person. I purposely modified only the collecting bug to move the bubbles back to me. The enhanced psychic breath has already been used once in version 02. The characteristics and weaknesses were probably identified based on the information obtained at that time. Gathering bugs covered in bubbles flock behind the outspacers that have liquefied and disappeared. Even while his body is melting, he is trying to cling to me somehow. Station drones and ship-based planes also joined in and chased me. I moved non-stop to avoid them. It's a pretty annoying situation, but my guess is that even if you're ranked 4th, you probably don't have complete knowledge of the colors of the abyss. For example, it is difficult to understand that foam only eats up organic matter and leaves inorganic matter untouched without seeing it several times. Let me check. While performing an evasive maneuver to avoid the enemies, I turned my body sharply upward. Then, it struck the center of the Megacorp and Star Union battleships gathered overhead. Some of the battleships hurriedly turned their main guns and fired plasma heat rays. Instead of avoiding the heat rain, I went forward while being hit by it all. As I got closer to the battleships, the movement of the collecting bugs changed. The guys who were following closely behind me all turned and widened the distance between me and me. They seemed unaware of the fact that the enhanced psychic breath could not damage inorganic objects. Or not. This may be because there is an important entity hidden within the fleet that should not be touched by the bubble. Open corner bracket morph, 4 o'clock. An unusual flow of energy can be felt at the point Isabel mentioned. It was a unique flow of energy that was similar to, but somehow different from, the energy emitted during faster than light sailing. The size of the energy emitting being was only the size of a small or medium-sized destroyer, but its unique energy was impressive. It's him. Those creatures protected by multiple battleships and outspacers are the ones that interfere with faster than light navigation. I finally discovered the hidden card that the enemy rankers had prepared to block my escape route. A word from the author's review, the token of a mighty enemy is a mark obtained after feasting on powerful prey. If there are characteristics that correspond to the unique perks of the prey, they will be reorganized into the badge characteristics of a strong enemy. Characteristics classified as signs of a strong enemy cannot be used as materials for fusion or transcendence systems. Omitted. 2 Color of the Abyss. When activated, indescribable colors surround the body. Colors are automatically given to psychic abilities. Application targets. Monsters tentacles, fearful watcher, no traits, superpower reflective gloves, no traits. Additional effects after application. Monsters tentacles. Fires colored bubbles that attach to multiple targets and consume them until they disappear. Omitted, watch next episode. C392. When you enter a state of hunting, vision disappears, but the performance of other sense organs greatly improves. In the case of imorphs, which do not have a nose or ears, the tentacle-shaped auxiliary organ located under the chin is intensively strengthened. Thanks to this, even if you cannot see, you can accurately recognize what the other person looks like or feel the flow of energy that cannot be seen with the eyes. That outspacer, identified as an auxiliary organ, was something I had never seen before. It looks like a remodeled queen. Just like when I fought in Burzon 02 before, the queens commanded by the 4th place looked very different from what I was familiar with. Because of this, it was difficult to know which genetic essence was used as the material. Or maybe it's because of the privilege he has. Anyway, it was clear that that special entity was the one blocking my escape route. There were 3 20 meters tall flying monsters around him. Probably its role is to escort an unidentified outspacer. Isabel, who was observing the enemy with her heavenly eye, sent a thought wave. I saw the enemy, special, and gong. Flight, monster, nudge absorption, it's possible. Zuzu, who's the one in the middle? Open corner bracket sailing, energy, blocking. You can do it. Range, top, very wide. And, energy detection, high speed, faster than light speed, you can do it, Zuzu, high speed. Almost at war, PBOI level. After listening to the story, I understand what the 4 outspacers were aiming for. Counter to psychic breath and black devourer cannon. The flying monster with the ability to absorb energy is used to block the psychic breath, and the special object in the middle is used to block the black devourer cannon. The black devourer cannon can't be blocked, so I'm going to avoid it altogether. If I show signs of firing a cannon, he will immediately release control of his faster than light travel and try to escape. At that time, 2 small projectiles flew from between the clustered ships. Starting with the 2 shadows shooting, other enemies also began attacking. First of all, I know what kind of power the other person has. How should I fight? In keeping with the enemy's offensive, I also began to fly. Megacorp's ships fired not only with the main guns mounted on the front, but also with the auxiliary guns located on the sides. Star Union's ships fired guided torpedoes indiscriminately using the guns embedded in the outer walls. Because the distance was close, the enemy's offensive continued without a break. My carapace was damaged and recovered repeatedly after being hit directly by plasma heat rays and torpedoes. The fire net is so tight that it is difficult for someone of my size to avoid it. At this rate, it is difficult to expect PS-111 and Isabel to fire in check. From here on, it is time to trust auxiliary organizations. Auxiliary organs covered with bone blades move furiously and collect information. I didn't know about other attacks, but I moved forward while somehow avoiding the special bullets fired by the giant gun. Having narrowed the distance to the enemy fleet, I pulled out all the tentacles and launched them at the nearby ship. The battleship tried to widen the distance, but it was already too late. A huge ship, more than twice my size, was caught in the tentacles. The giant gun's special bullet, which flew through the black space, pierced the outer wall of the ship, not me. Other enemies' attacks were also blocked by the battleship held by the tentacles. Even though my colleague was captured by me, there was no mercy whatsoever. Well, that's the loss. I used the battleship as a shield and at the same time ripped off the outer wall of the ship with my mouth. Every time a lump of alloy was digested, the effect of destroyer carapace was activated on the entire body. The damaged carapace recovered, and the body size increased slightly. As I became stronger, the captured ship instantly became a rag. The crew members in space suits tried to resist somehow, but there was no point. Either it would go into my mouth along with the alloy fragments, or it would be hit by PS-111 fire and be torn to pieces. Predation effect activated. Thanks to this, I also acquired some of the characteristics that can be obtained from humans, such as dexterity and dental strength. Dexterity was immediately fused with radio interference and made into hijacking. I just needed it. After quickly defeating one ship, I rushed at the battleships. The ships that were gathered together quickly spread out to avoid me. We responded quite quickly, but the situation has just changed. I used hijack on one of the torpedoes that was about to hit me. The guidance chip inside the torpedo was controlled and sent to the fleeing Star Union battleship. The thruster attached to the rear of the battleship exploded, and its moving speed plummeted. Dozens of naval guns mounted on the outer walls of the ship spewed fire like crazy, but nothing changed. I used the damaged battleship as a shield, just like I did earlier. The preparations are complete. To destroy the cards prepared by fourth place, you need some supplies. The large cover I am carrying now is one of them. And then, I hid behind the boat and prepared to deliver a big blow to the enemy. I put all my concentration into preparation because I couldn't be late or make a mistake. Dangerous, but effective. I will help you, sister. Bullet. Intercept. Isabel and PS-111 worked diligently to block the giant guns' bullets and torpedoes, as well as the swarms of collecting bugs that tried to take a detour and come after me. In the meantime, after completing all preparations, I used the final attack method, the Black Devourer cannon. The energy spread throughout the body flows into the left tail. My body shakes as if I am floating on a stormy sea. No, it's not just my body that's shaking. Light that exists faintly in the middle of space is refracted, and space fluctuates. Enemies also sense something unusual and move quickly. The ships, narrowing the gap between each other, are engulfed in a blue glow. Among them, there was an outspacer that the fourth place player created to deal with me. The energy that used to flow softly has now become so intense that it can be easily sensed even from a distance. He's trying to lose control and go faster than light with his fleet. Just as the outspacer and the fleet disappeared, a black cannonball was fired from the tail. I could not feel any of the elements that could be heard or felt on the battlefield, such as explosions made by ships or screams as life was extinguished. All that was perceived by the auxiliary organs was silence. After a while, the energy was concentrated in a distant space. I used the starlight coordinates for the item I had prepared before they came out. Soon, enemies who had surpassed space appeared. Among them were outspacers. The enemy's damage was not that great. Looking at the number of remaining ships, approximately 10% to 20% were sucked into the Devourer's maw. Doesn't care. Because what I was aiming for was not the enemy fleet. As I get further away from the fleet, a group of outspacers, including collecting bugs, try to attack me again. If you use starlight coordinates, you will be unable to do anything for at least 1 minute. From the enemy's perspective, it would be difficult to miss an opportunity like this. But they suddenly stopped. The collecting bugs that were trying to tear me apart immediately froze and did not move. It's as if something is wrong with their heads. Of course it is. Outspacer lower-level entities move under the direction of higher-level entities. If a problem occurs with a higher-level entity, the entities below it are also affected. And now, a big problem has arisen for the being with the highest command among the higher entities. Castle, it's a ball. Isabel checked the enemy's condition and told me. The object I just teleported was one of the remains of the Star Union that was used as cover. To be exact, it is a wreck covered in psychic foam enhanced with the color of the abyss. The Black Devourer cannon was a decoy. As I expected it to dodge, I secretly prepared an alloy fragment imbued with enhanced psychic breath as I ate its stomach. This unholy bubble takes advantage of the fact that it does not activate against inorganic objects. I had a piece of foam covered in it and used starlight coordinates to match when it moved. The guy who stopped controlling his faster-than-light navigation for a moment to escape was hit by the weapon I fired at him. No matter how well fourth place analyzed me, no one knows better than me, the owner of the trait. The collecting bugs that had surrounded me began to run away. There was no systematic movement visible from those who had lost their commander. The battleships of Megacorp and Star Union left the fleeing group of outspacers alone and approached me. Since they lost the means to move quickly, they seemed to have decided that if they increased the distance, they would be at a disadvantage due to the black devourer cannon. You're going to see it through to the end somehow, right? Currently, my body cannot move for 1 minute due to the penalty of starlight coordinates. Hundreds of ships approach, firing non-stop. Among them were shadows. Shadows holding giant guns moved to the side and moved to a position where they could attack me. Isabel and PS-111 continued to fire in check, but the two shadows skillfully avoided the attacks. As they were moving around and were about to fire their giant guns, a large object quickly approached me from behind. It was my alter ego, Right Head, who was fighting with the outspacers. The guy who succeeded in killing the 40 meters outspacer he was fighting had a lot of blood around his mouth. The bloody Amov jumped past me and into the enemy fleet. Sky's mother, who was fighting the outspacer with him, was not there. Because her target was not a ship. One of the shadows trying to shoot me flinches and stops. A primitive type of blade protrudes from his abdomen. The Mother of Heaven approached him secretly and stabbed him with the priest's golden spear. In that state, she lifted the window upward and opened it. The other shadow, seeing its comrade being split vertically, immediately stops aiming and tries to run away. Where are you going? You can't miss it. He's been acting like a nuisance since a while ago. So I can't let him go like this. As if reading my thoughts, PS-111 swung its arm with Galligan's claw sword. Psychic power erupts from the tip of the long blade and flies towards the fleeing enemy. Immediately, its body was cut in half, and hot liquid spurted out from the cross-section of its waist. I won't make a mistake this time. Zuzuzuzu, okay. Good job. Just when the penalty was over, I threw away the ship fragments I had used as cover and approached him. The shadow with its waist cut tried to protect itself by activating its shield, but my eroding tentacles were faster than it. The mouth on the tentacle swallowed the body, which was split in two, whole. Predation effect activated. Successful acquisition of Ultra Control, Genetic Essence. Open corner bracket takeover of Ultra Control, among the biological characteristics of Code Black. Shadow, or rather, the new characteristics stolen from the body of the newly appointed Code Black seeped into his body. Ultra Control. It was good. I was lucky enough to obtain a trait that could be used as a transcendence material. Just as I was about to rejoice, liquid suddenly flowed from my mouth. The moment I realized that it was my blood and not a shadow, I felt an excruciating pain in my chest. Open corner bracket, why are you doing that? Open corner bracket emo. PS-111 and Isabel, who sensed something was wrong with me, sent me a thought wave, but I was unable to respond. This is because a bigger problem has arisen than the pain in my chest. The carapace damaged by the heat ray stopped regenerating, and the energy consumed by the black devourer cannon was not recovered. Why all of a sudden? No way. I think I know the cause of the abnormal phenomenon that occurred to me. A shadow that was just eaten and digested. Megacorp's rancor must have planted something in the shadow's body. As soon as I realized that fact, a blue cloud appeared far away in outer space. What appeared through the light were spaceships. Numerous warships joined the enemy camp. The enemy's offensive is not over yet. A word from the author's review, hijacking, inherits the effect of radio interference characteristics. You can control electronic devices within 10 meters for a short period of time. Can only be used on one device at a time and cannot be used on cyborgs. *PS. In the space age, humans who cannot use machines are no better than primitive people. Open corner bracket black devourer cannon. Infinite power is in your hands. It fires a projectile by consuming 50% of the total energy that can be stored in the body. *PS. Please be careful. Close corner bracket. Open corner bracket starlight coordinates. You can teleport normal objects and friendly creatures to specific coordinates, or make them travel at faster than light speeds. Caution. After using the attribute, you cannot move for at least 1 minute. The larger the object, the longer the time you cannot move. Close corner bracket, watch next episode. C393. Au-33 was once a barren planet, but has now become a star overflowing with life. There resides a being who has built the most powerful group of outspacers in the universe. From the throne located in the heart of the star, the Empress recognized that one of the queens had died. Also, the queen's death was created with great care. It was unfortunate, but it was expected. That's because the enemy the queen faced was someone that even he couldn't handle. Amov. The battle is in full swing in the N51 star system, Megacorp's territory and the place where the queen died. A punitive force led by Akira, the leader of the ruling faction, is fighting against the infamous Amov rancor. Still, I'm glad you got the results you wanted. Imov was so focused on the queen that he did not notice the trap that Akira had prepared. Akira's trap is very fatal to those who use genetic essence like him and Imorph. This is because he used his special privileges to make it difficult. In addition, members of the ruling faction continue to provide reinforcements to N51. Even if he were a bastard, it wouldn't be easy to survive. Our alliance ends here. Akira. Almost all of the troops he supported died in the fight against Imov. He could have added more men, but he didn't. We only cooperated for a while because of Imov, but we had no intention of joining the ruling faction. Just like a morph, they are just objects to be sorted out. While they are focusing their attention elsewhere, laying the groundwork for the solar system. He stopped thinking about Imov and tried to think about his next plan. At that time, a communication tombstone placed on the floor interrupted his thinking. Open corner bracket message arrived. The mucous membrane oozing from his body detected the activated steel. Currently, there is only one person who can contact him. The lover he cherishes and loves, and a fellow outspacer from the returning sect. You must be busy expanding the planet. I still vividly remember crying that I wouldn't be able to contact him for a while, but it was unexpected. Of course, that didn't mean that her lover's message wasn't welcome. He checked the message that appeared on the computer connected to the tombstone. Contrary to expectations, the person who contacted him was not his lover. He created a tentacle on the mucous membrane and typed the message. Open corner bracket bumho. What's wrong with you? Message arrived. The Empress was surprised by the reply that came immediately after writing it down. You're hiding in the Imov subjugation team. If all goes according to plan, Bomho should be waiting for the guest, led by another compatriot. That guest is a very important element in the return sect's grand scheme. This is something that Bomho, the person who came up with the plan, always emphasized. Then he changed his plan. The leader of the returning faction is now in the N51 star system, which has become a battlefield. Highly concentrated energies hit my body. The carapace and shell covering the body break little by little, and blood and flesh leak little by little into space. The wounds that normally would have healed quickly are not getting any better. Hey, morph. Ranker's perks. Hey. While the heat rays of energy fired by the battleship were going back and forth, Isabel sent a thought wave to me. I confirmed the abnormal phenomenon that occurred in my body with my heavenly eyes. Zuzu perk. Open corner bracket Genesis. Creating genes and electrons that contaminate purified water, is a perk. That gene is preventing recovery. Imorphs gain immunity to poisons and viruses when they become semi-adults. Because of this immune ability, all kinds of bacteria, viruses, parasites, etc. could be used as weapons. No matter how powerful a toxin enters the stomach, it is simply digested and cannot cause any damage. As long as it's not poison. It's a different story. Isabel told me that the cause of my problems was a gene contaminating my genetic essence. It was probably acquired when eating the shadow. There was no special message when the predation effect appeared. When a morph succeeds in predation, related information is always displayed in the text box. The only genetic essence I stole from the shadows is ultra control. However, just because it does not appear in the text box does not mean that the genes of the food consumed have completely disappeared. This is because organs such as mimicry organs, parasitic colonies, and human parasite hosts store some of them. Those institutions cannot be controlled as I wish. It's the same way that humans can move their hands and feet at will, but they can't move their liver or gallbladder. It's a trap you can't help but fall into once you eat it. The Master of Shadows accurately shot me. Plus, there's a problem with the dragon's heart. From a while ago, I had a throbbing pain inside my chest. The dragon's heart must have been included in the trap. The state of energy supply is also a mess. It is estimated that the effectiveness has dropped to approximately 1/4. Even if recovery is not possible, the blockage of energy supply is fatal. This is because my attack characteristics and faster than light navigation all consume enormous amounts of energy. And because the balance maintained by the dragon's heart was broken, the penalty for the hunger attribute was reactivated. If you use your power recklessly, you will lose your mind and fall into madness. You can gain energy by eating enemies directly, but traps may have been planted like shadows on the crews of those battleships as well. You cannot be hasty in feasting on ships because you might make a mistake while eating them. Open corner bracket for a period of time, you cannot recover or use characteristics, so be careful. It is fortunate that there is a time limit, but we cannot be completely at ease. It's as if the recovery means we're sealed for 60 minutes. On the other hand, enemy reinforcements are constantly pouring in here. More ships are pouring firepower at me than when the battle began. It's okay as the injury isn't serious yet, but as time goes on, it's ultimately going to be at a disadvantage. At that moment, a strong energy response was detected from afar. It is a heat ray fired by the main gun of the Sax Alpha-class battleship, which is much larger and has more firepower than regular battleships. I stopped thinking and quickly escaped. A heat ray as big as my body narrowly missed. This was followed by a flood of attacks from other battleships. Green flashes form a dense network. A web of energy follows closely to entangle me. It would be a big problem if you were trapped there now. I accelerated and got out of their attack range. The Mother of Heaven and the right head followed behind me. A morph. What about that wound? The Heavenly Mother asked as she saw blood spraying from the broken shell. Zuzuzu. I was caught in a trap set by a rancor. Open corner bracket what? Opening square bracket. Zuzu cannot be played for 60 minutes. And no energy or charging. Open corner bracket ellipsis dot close corner bracket. While I was explaining the seriousness of the situation to her, a change occurred in my body. The duration of the symbol of hunting has run out. The greatly enlarged body shrunk, and the body shape and various body parts returned to their original state. When I opened my eyes, Heavenly Mother was looking at me with a worried face. It's dangerous like this. We must use all the means we have to change this trend. Otherwise, there is only defeat and death. Let's gather the kids first. After falling back, enemy attacks slowed down. I think they are trying to organize the battle line with the new fleet that entered the star system. I took advantage of this opportunity and flew with the kids to the place where number 26 and Adai were fighting. The corvettes and aircraft carriers that Adai and left head were dealing with had already been cleared out a long time ago. The two were helping number 26 against Screamer. There were only a few psychic specialized screamers based on Jason left. When they approached me, they gave up the fight and retreated. Don't run away. No 26's tentacles stretched out like my erosion tentacles and wrapped around the two fleeing screamers. Then, it dragged the captured enemy and swallowed it into its body. After seeing this, Adai shook off the bundle of tentacles around his mouth. It didn't taste good, it wasn't there. Grr. Huh. The big baby has arrived. The guys who fought hard are happy to see me. But that attitude didn't last long. Because I noticed that my body was covered in wounds. Open corner bracket big adult. Body open corner bracket are you hurt? Open corner bracket bad kids bullied the older kid. Adai, who was worried about me, let out a wave of anxiety and worry. Number 26 was also angry, dyeing his pink body dark. Zuzuzu, I have a favor to ask. Call them. First, I asked number 26 to sing Metallic Gremlin. Now that the outspacers that interfere with faster than light navigation have disappeared, they can jump here at any time. Metallic Gremlins are a race specialized in fleet warfare. It will be a great help in fighting the mixed fleet of Megacorp and Star Union. If it weren't for the Rancor, I would have won without difficulty. It is almost certain that the enemies are under the Rancor's command. If you're a Rancor, you'll know what to do against Metallic Gremlin. There will be some damage at first, but you will quickly respond. However, what I expect from these guys is not just the combat aspect. Here, just introducing variables that the enemy doesn't know about is meaningful. If a group of metallic gremlins appear out of nowhere, the enemy's attention will inevitably be diverted. While they buy us time, we need to find a way to turn the tide. For example, eliminating a Rancor or neutralizing an enemy fleet's command ship. And there are several warp boys left in the group following No. 26. Currently, I am in a situation where I need to conserve the energy stored in my body. If we ever find ourselves in a situation where we have to run away, we'll need their help. It wasn't possible in the game, but not here. There is Unit 26 that can talk to them, so I guess I can at least ask them to move me to an adjacent star system. I'll call you Glitter. Number 26 heard my request and took out a silver tentacle. A small light was emitted from the sphere at the end of the tentacle. The wave that called for the metallic gremlin flew out of the star system at extremely high speeds. Good. And I opened a semi-transparent text box. Numerous features cluttered my vision. Among them, I looked at the first thing I got, the together of a strong enemy, and the plunderer's irregular polyhedron. I didn't know I'd be using it here. On the back of the looter's irregular polyhedron was written the name of the ability I had acquired by feasting on special equipment. Dice of Void. The power gained by feasting on the equipment that Sion Eugene previously had. Using this ability allows you to use all attributes without restrictions for 3 minutes. It's a very unconventional power, but I've only been able to use it once so far because the cooldown is 66 days. If it weren't for the Revenant engine that was activated during the last fight with Magmasaur, it would still be unusable. Even my enemies don't know about this power. My enemies think I have become greatly weakened. It's like that in reality too. It's a good time to throw the dice. Open corner bracket. The glitter has arrived. At that time, a group of blue lights gathered behind me along with the wavelength of No. 26. This is a signal sent by the infamous silver marauders who received the call from him. Enemies from far away also sense the intrusion of strangers and try to keep them in check. Before the battleships started firing, I quickly used the complex spectral object. A transparent mirror containing various types of light was formed in front of me. After a while, the heat rays fired by the battleships flew toward the circular prism. Rather than being broken by the heat rays, the huge transparent tray reflected all of the attacks. While I was wasting time, the group of metallic gremlins safely completed their leap. Filled square, filled square, filled square. Filled square, filled square. Open corner bracket. Yes. Let's get rid of the bad guys. Open corner bracket speech, open corner bracket strange, open corner bracket understand, open corner bracket impossible. The battleships. Attack stops. He must have been taken aback by the sudden appearance of an enemy. Now it's time to counterattack here. A word from the author, author's review, complicated spectral body. In nature, waves are forces. Forms a medium that reflects energy attacks that have been hit multiple times. Reduces damage from energy attacks that cannot be reflected by less than half. Reflection target. Laser, plasma, psychic power, crystallization wave. Duration. 5 minutes, cooldown 30 minutes. *PS. A strategist must know how to use the enemy's power against him. Plunders irregular polyhedron. 1 piece of equipment. Devourer to specialize the unique abilities of the equipment. This can only be done once per piece of equipment, and when you feast on another piece of equipment, the characteristic effects of the previous piece of equipment are lost. Dice of Void. Obtained after feasting on Abyss Destroyer. When activated, all attribute cooldowns are reset. Other unconfirmed additional effects and restrictions exist. Close corner bracket. Watch next episode. C394. Metallic gremlin is not very tall. The largest specimens reach about 80 centimeters, so most of them can be considered to be about the size of children. However, you should not ignore it just because it is small. These little demons with metal skin are the natural enemies of ships. The nickname, Plunder of the Universe, is by no means a lie. The fearful beings wandering the sea called the universe advance. Even though number 26 did not say otherwise, they moved towards the enemy fleet on their own. Metallic gremlins can detect energy emitted by ships through microscopic protrusions inside their mouths. Because the performance of the protuberance is quite excellent, it can easily find even small spacecraft in the distance. There is no way we will miss the fleet that is pouring fire on us from afar. Warships that look like small stars move in the distance, switching sides to deal with the metallic gremlin. And some battleships began firing ultra-long-range shots. If a flock of up to 10,000 animals approaches, the damage will be very significant, so the intention is to reduce it in advance. Just before the incoming heat ray touched the silver cloud, they disappeared like smoke. Next, a metallic gremlin with a blue radiance on its body jumped out near the enemy fleet. This is a large-scale teleportation performed by warp boys. They immediately closed the distance and immediately entered close combat against the ships that were changing positions. Zuzuzuzuzu, let's move too. Afterwards, I and the kids approached the enemy fleet. Unlike before, no check fire was fired. This was because they were busy dealing with marauders who suddenly appeared and ambushed them. The silver monsters were extremely hungry and clung to nearby ships. The auxiliary guns of each ship were constantly moving to drop them. Heat rays and energy bullets fired from naval guns littered the black space. One of them moves its main gun and aims at me. Just before the heat ray was fired, the hull shook significantly. This is because the alter ego, right head, born from Hydra split, hit the body. The collision caused the ship to stumble greatly, and the heat beam fired by the main gun hit another battleship behind me. The battleship hit by the heat ray had a large hole in its hull, but did not sink. But there is no need for me to finish it. This is because a flock of hungry monkfish nearby will take care of the cleanup. At that time, the 5 destroyers ahead exploded almost simultaneously. Red stars and black storms emerged from the silently spreading flames and rushed towards the other ship. It was a die wearing red armor, and the Mother of Heaven who transformed into a griffin. The 2 fastest and most agile members among us are toying with the enemy through flying combat. The 2 literally became living torpedoes, piercing through various ships. The ships that were not completely destroyed due to their large weight were finished off by my alter ego, Left Head, and the metallic gremlin. The left head stuck to the ship and used its sharp teeth and claws to rip off the ship's guns and thrusters. A ship with its attack and transportation capabilities disabled is nothing more than bulky scrap metal. The well-groomed prey entered the bellies of the silver demons that followed. Like the other kids, number 26 was actively using his unique abilities to go on the offensive. Using psychic power, he distorted the trajectory of the incoming torpedo and crushed the battleship's guns. While everyone was fighting hard, I was looking for a command ship or a ship that seemed to have an enemy ranker on board. If it continues to be a war of attrition, there will be no end. The current chaos will never last long. When the enemy starts to respond, this side becomes at a disadvantage. Before that, we need to shake it up by causing as much damage as possible. Either catch and kill the ranker, or neutralize the command center. Zuzuzu, have you found anything? Open corner bracket ranker, I don't see it. A special ship, I have to find it. Command, looking for it. There is nothing nearby. Isabel's special privilege, the heavenly eye of all things, allows her to read only information about creatures and objects she has seen directly. It is impossible to confirm the people on board the ship. So, we are looking for a ship with characteristics that are different from regular ships. PS-111 was also assisting Isabel in checking for ships that had undergone unusual modifications. I will use the void dice only when the goal is set. The duration of void dice is 3 minutes. The maintenance time is quite short. Therefore, it should be used when you are confident that you can achieve the highest efficiency. As I continued to look at the numerous ships, there was a change in their movements. The ships carrying the metallic gremlin broke away from the formation and widened the distance between them and the fleet. After some distance, other battleships attacked the ship. The ship that was hit by 3 or 4 heat rays exploded. Then other ships did the same. After ordering the ship with the metallic gremlin to move away from the fleet, the ship is left to other ships to deal with it. What you do in the game, you do here too. It is very difficult to remove the metallic gremlin that has stuck to your stomach. So players who operate fleets often eliminate enemies in this way, taking some losses. But if you do that, the backlash will be quite severe. This may not be a problem in games, but this is reality. If a ranker wastes the lives of his subordinates, side effects are bound to occur. Furthermore, coincidentally, Star Union and Megacorp are conducting a joint operation here to catch me. Originally, the 2 powers were hostile to each other. If it weren't for the ranker's orders, there would be no such cooperation. As I thought about it, an idea came to mind. If it goes well, this is a method that can cause quite a lot of damage to enemies. Should we try an experiment? I approached where the enemies were gathered. A mixture of Megacorp and Star Union ships are attacking the ship with the metallic gremlins. Some of them spotted me and opened fire with their auxiliary guns. I continued to move forward while being hit by flying energy bullets. And, when the distance between them became close enough, Messenger of Chaos was activated. A thin line of psychic power rose from the monster's tentacles on its head. Deadly smoke, distorting cognitive abilities and driving people into madness, seeped into nearby ships. Herald of Chaos is the only talent that specializes in manipulating the minds of large numbers of people and controlling crowds. If the range is maximized, it can affect intelligent entities within a radius of 500 meters. It's not an appropriate trait to use in space warfare, though. The average size of the battleships I fight is hundreds of meters or more. Even if you approach closely like now, only 2 or 3 ships will be within the range of influence. But it still doesn't matter. The crew on board the ship will take care of everything after this. With Herald of Chaos activated, I continued to approach the area where enemies were concentrated. There was no attack. Even if the aircraft carriers stuck to us and became a nuisance, we left them all alone. Zuzuzuzu, don't attack those fighters. Open corner bracket what? Open corner bracket hey, morph. Between, kick power, detected. Enemy, spirit, pollution, are you ordering it? Jung, new pollution. Isabel, the only one among the children who had never seen the messenger of chaos, expressed doubt. This should be enough. The time has come for the seeds that were slowly sown to ripen. It would be better to show it in person rather than explain it in words. I stopped the harbinger of mayhem and took a step back. After a while, enemy ships that showed strange movements began to appear. The batteries mounted on the outer walls targeted nearby friendly forces, especially Star Union ships, instead of the enemy. The ships carrying the cyborgs were unaware of anything and were concentrating on attacking us. That is, until the megacorp ships nearby attacked them. It's a success. Star Union ships are hit by plasma heat rays and sink one after another. As allies die one after another, the cyborg warships also show signs of agitation. The cyborgs of the Star Union were not the only ones who felt embarrassed by the Alliance's unexpected actions. The humans were equally confused. It has to be that way. The ships and aircraft that were fighting together were suddenly rushing towards them. 2 destroyers hit a battleship at the same time. A white battleship as if made of marble is engulfed in an explosion. The ship that collided with the aircraft carrier had no major problems other than damage to the outer wall. I can guarantee you that only the outside is fine, but the inside is a mess right now. It must be crazy because people suddenly start going crazy. Those affected by the Herald of Chaos are randomly given the insanity bomb effect. The subject with the bomb planted becomes a crazy cannibal, obsessed only with eating other people. However, if you hastily eliminate the person carrying the bomb, the problem becomes more serious. This is because when the host dies, the madness bomb is transmitted to the nearest intelligent being. If it were a small space like a spaceship, it would spread quickly. It's only a matter of time before hell opens up inside that battleship. As the megacorp warships continued to make unexpected moves, the enemy's offensive was halted. The same was true for Star Union's ships. The black, crude, rectangular-shaped ships were gradually increasing their distance from the white, streamlined design ships. Looking at his appearance, it was clear that he was wary of his allies. While confusion was increasing among the enemies, Isabel, who was on my back, sent a thought wave to me. Tukji, I found one. 2 o'clock ahead, direction. Where he pointed, there was a white spaceship that looked a little different from a regular warship. The shape of the elongated hull and the tapered front part was reminiscent of a large knife. Where do you think I've seen you before? Despite its unusual appearance, it looks vaguely familiar. I had a strong feeling that this was a ship I had seen before. Open corner bracket Super Mu, GIE, on cannon, similar weapons, equipped. Zuzu ion cannon. Ion cannons, which are located at a higher level than plasma weapons, are mainly used as the main weapon of megacorp superweapons such as Gigacracker. Of course, that ship is so small that it can't be compared to the Gigacracker. It is unlikely that it will show as much power as a super weapon. It's a ship equipped with an ion cannon. In the game, ion cannons could not be mounted on regular warships for balance reasons. Zuzu, anything else than that. There is a device called Go, Quick Response War, PN, JN. Super light, fast sailing, is faster. There are many other devices besides that. Then I suddenly remembered where I had seen that ship. When I was leaving the T&C Special Trade Center, my predatory senses suddenly activated at the port. Unlike usual, I saw a future full of noise. That's why I chose a different escape ship. The ship I was avoiding at the time looked very similar to the ship over there now. Open corner bracket the target, Eugene, the family's flagship, Heavenly Sword, has been confirmed. Head, probability of boarding, over 80%. PS-111 put a dent in my guess. The third ranker, Akira Eugen, is on that ship. Good. Now that you have found your goal, there is no more hesitation. I immediately used void dice. The moment I threw the dice, I felt a shallow flame blooming in my chest. At first, it was a small ember, but it grew bigger and bigger, and before I knew it, it became a flame that burned the whole body. As if it wasn't just a simple feeling, the silver pattern on his chest also spread out in all directions. Open corner bracket this. Open corner bracket the energy released from the membrane inside Amorph's body was confirmed. The Screamer sisters were puzzled by the changes that occurred in my body. I know what happens when this pattern covers your entire body. Because I've experienced it once before. As a silver pattern reminiscent of the Milky Way completely engulfed my entire body, a strange sensation captured my consciousness. A strange feeling of vitality, liveliness, and liberation mixed together. As long as this state lasts, all the characteristics you have can be used freely without cooldown or restrictions. Among the numerous weapons stored in my body, the first two I chose were Bone Beast and Symbol of Hunting. Two characteristics that are inherently incompatible, jaundness and perfection, are fused in my body. A word from the author's review, Messenger of Chaos. Reality depends on the senses. Spreads psychic power to distort the senses of all intelligent beings within a 500 meters radius. Plants a insanity bomb at random among affected creatures. Insanity bomb shakes the target's senses and mind and turns them into crazy cannibals. When you die, the insanity bomb effect is transmitted to the nearest intelligent being. Caution. The effect is halved for creatures with psychic power resistance. Agility decreases significantly when using the attribute. *PS. Please don't trust reality too much. Predator's irregular polyhedron devours a piece of equipment and specializes its unique abilities. This can only be done once per piece of equipment, and when you feast on another piece of equipment, the characteristic effects of the previous piece of equipment are lost. Dice of Void. Obtained after feasting on Abyss Destroyer. When activated, all attribute cooldowns are reset. There are other unconfirmed additional effects and restrictions. Close corner bracket. Open corner bracket. Bone Beast inherits and strengthens the existing giant creature characteristics. Once a week, you can transform into a very powerful Bone Beast. The transformation lasts 60 minutes. Caution. Cannot be used with Emblem of Hunting. *PS. Exoskeletons are not exclusive to certain species. See next episode. C395. I have several characteristics that completely change the shape of my body. A symbol of hunting in which body parts increase, or organic evolution, in which the entire body shape changes, etc. Bone Beast is also one of those talents, but it is slightly different from the ones mentioned above. This is because it does not show any significant changes other than its body becoming larger and its carapace becoming thicker. That's right. I checked the body with both the hunting symbol and the Bone Beast applied at the same time. The body shape itself was similar to that used when hunting symbols were used. The disappearance of vision, the highly developed auxiliary organs under the jaw, and the creation of a new bone sickle arm between the waist and pelvis are characteristics that are unique to the symbol of hunting. What is different is that thick thorns reminiscent of stalactites have sprouted all over the body. It protruded not only from areas that originally had thick carapace, such as the head, back, and chest, but also from the arms, fingers, and tail. However, there was no problem in moving at all. The reason is because of the structure of the spine. The large thorns growing all over its body were made from small, saw blade-shaped bone fragments gathered together. When I move, it freely deforms, folding or straightening accordingly. Thanks to this, I felt like I was wearing nanomachine armor from a science fiction movie. A huge amount of energy is observed. The body shape, color are different. White A. Moprani. Well, I'm watching. PS111 and Isabel were also surprised to see me change. Isabel in particular seemed impressed by not only the appearance but also the change in color. As he said, my carapace and spines are now silver and white, so it feels a lot different. So much so that if someone who doesn't know a morph well sees me, they'll think I'm a completely different creature. Let's stop here to check the condition of the body. Now that the mutation is complete, we need to move quickly. Something has changed in the text window, but I don't have time to check it. Void dice lasts a total of 3 minutes. Originally, the hunting symbol and Bone Beast cannot be used together, so there is a high probability that one of them will be cancelled when the effect ends. Or both are released. This is my second time using the Void dice, so I don't know what the results will be. No, let's not worry about that now. I opened my wing arms, which had shrunk during my transformation. The energy released from the wings pushed my body forward. As I approached at high speed, the Heavenly Sword, a ship presumed to be carrying an enemy ranker, began to move. Open corner bracket goal, energy, concentration, becomes. PS111 hanging on his back warned. As he said, an enormous amount of energy is gathering at the front of the ship, which resembles a sword. Since it is lightweight, it will not have the same power as a super weapon, but it will definitely not be the main gun of an ordinary battleship. I immediately stopped flying and immediately used complex spectral object and variable biological weapon together. Energy blooms from the surface of the body covered with clusters of thorns. At the same time, the shell that houses the erosion tentacles also wriggles. While the haze gathered together to form a translucent mirror shape, the carapace on its back rapidly thickened. The armor of the powerful apex creature Magmasaur, is materializing on my body. Zuzuzuzu, all down. As my torso swelled into a scarab-like shape, I brought Isabel and PS-111 under my chest. At that time, the enemy's energy cannon finished charging. Energy heat rays similar to Gigacracker's ion cannon spread light and get closer. Even if it is not a super weapon, it feels like it has enough energy to destroy an entire fleet. The heat ray flying at incredible speed collides with the complex spectral body. A huge tray made of energy fields shines like a prism and shakes. However, unlike usual, he was unable to immediately reflect the enemy's attack. The complex spectral object only reflects attacks from energy types that have been damaged by it. For other attacks or attacks that cannot be reflected, the damage is reduced by half. Since the restrictions were removed thanks to the void dice, it might be possible to reflect this as well, but I wasn't sure. So I bought insurance, and my expectations were correct. The spectral body lasted for a moment, weakened the heat ray, and then disappeared. The residual energy of the heat ray assaulted me. Although defense was increased through variable biological weapons, it was not expected that it would completely offset the damage. The heat ray fired by the enemy ranker's warship was powerful enough to activate pain reduction in succession. But the pain I felt was extremely minimal. Although the high fever was burning my body, the damage did not penetrate deep into my body. The moment the heat ray hit my body, the clusters of thorns on the surface shook like waves. All the thorns on his body were folded, like a hedgehog laying down its needles. As the thorns piled up, the distance between the carapace and the thorns became narrower. Open corner bracket outer shell structure, highly hardened, confirmed, interesting. Open corner bracket sister, be careful with your head. PS-111 It's just as you said. The material of these newly formed spines is the same as bone. Thanks to the fact that they interlock with each other to form a biological shield, defense power increases exponentially. Thanks to this, it was able to withstand being hit by weakened heat rays while passing through a complex spectral body. Eventually, the enemy's attacks gradually subsided. The thorns that had been tangled on the surface were also straightened out again. The heavenly sword, which released a heat ray once, retreats. Seeing that the movement was more urgent than before, I don't think I expected this result. Where are you going? There is now approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds left. I spread my wings and chased after him. Battleships trying to protect the enemy ranker rained torpedoes and heat rays at me. The thorns on the surface moved constantly to defend against enemy attacks. PS-111 and Isabel, who were held in my small arms near my chest, also helped me keep the enemy in check. As I didn't stop at all, enemy battleships jumped out in front of me. A huge barrier made of alloy blocks blocks me. If it had been like before, I would have turned around and taken a detour, but not this time. I rammed into the enemy battleships without stopping or turning around. The intense explosion caused by the collision envelops me. The unexploded battleships push me back to the station. The warships of Megacorp and Star Union are carrying out ramming tactics at the front. It's foolish. I put the Ice Horror's carapace on my head and beat them up. The sturdy ship armor that can withstand even the harsh conditions of space collapses like a sand castle. Some ships targeted my waist and chest. PS-111 and Isabel quickly climbed onto the ship's deck. Open corner bracket don't worry about us. Open corner bracket heavenly sword, we must remove it. Isabel shot a strong wave of thought. The guy is right. You must not miss the enemy ranker here. I cut down battleships with the bone scythe arm attached to my lower back. The outer wall, which was several meters thick, was cut like a piece of paper. This is thanks to applying the pyromancer's abilities to the bone scythe arm. And he grabbed the two pieces of the battleship at once with his fighting arms. The combat arm, which mimics the gigantarium's body, swells menacingly. In that state, the battleship was swung hard. The steel club in my hand sweeps away the enemies surrounding me. As the ships were destroyed, explosions occurred repeatedly. I moved forward through the heat wave. There was a heavenly sword there. He was preparing to fire his heat ray while the battleships captured me. The distance is not that far. At this distance, you should be able to grab it and pull it with its erosion tentacles. At that time, my body suddenly shook violently. The Star Union's Zax Alpha class battleship, which was bigger than me now, hit me from above. The tentacles protruding from the armor were blocked by thick armor. But there is still one more way to attract the enemy. I opened my mouth wide towards the heavenly sword. The tongue muscles connected to the inner double chin increase rapidly. Then the double chin tongue stuck out like a bullet. Dradsong's tongue, embodied by a variable biological weapon, is stuck in the front of the heavenly sword. The guy couldn't avoid it because he couldn't move while the heat ray was being prepared. I pulled the tongue embedded in the outer wall of the front of the ship towards me. As the distance between me narrowed, the energy gathered in the enemy ship began to dissipate. It was clear that he was trying to cancel the heated weapon and pull out another card. There are only 10 seconds left. There are many obstacles and time is running out to fly directly to attack the enemy. Is that all there is? Since the dragon's heart was disabled, I tried not to use it as much as possible, but there was nothing I could do. The monster's tentacles move according to my will. The energy stored in the body is converted into psychic power and gathered into the tentacles. The white tentacles are soaked in a familiar purple color. A visible concentration of psychic power came out of the tentacles and gathered in front of the snout. Now 5 seconds. The sphere floating in front of the head elongates. The purple line extends like the horizon created at dawn. A powerful shield similar to that used by cults appears from the heavenly sword to defend against psychic breath. However, even he could not overcome the breath created by the dragon's power. The shield that held for a moment broke and the breath directly struck the heavenly sword. An explosion stronger than when a battleship exploded occurred, and the shock waves swept through the surrounding ships. The thorns that protected me crumbled as soon as they were hit by the shock wave. At the same time, the gigantic body gradually shrunk. Open corner bracket. I don't know what it is, but it's over. Open corner bracket. Energy loss, body color, shape, restored to previous state. Because the duration of the void dice has expired, the bone beast is being cancelled. The symbol of hunting is still maintained. Since they are incompatible characteristics, it seemed like only one of the two was cancelled. Still, I'm glad I finished it before the effect wore off. As I thought so, I suddenly sensed a huge flow of energy from afar. Sail at faster than light speed. Judging by the amount of energy felt through the auxiliary engines, a sizable fleet is attempting to sail at faster than light speeds. The enemy ranker must have called for support right before it oxidized along with the ship. Dangerous. I have already used up a lot of strength and characteristics. It's not a good idea to keep fighting a large fleet. Moreover, if there are other rankers among the enemies, things become much more complicated. Here we use the black devourer cannon. While I was thinking that, the enemy fleet leapt into the inner star system. More than hundreds of battleships appeared, clad in blue light and tearing through the black space. You may lose your temper due to the energy drain, but you no longer have time to consider the risks. Just as I was quickly preparing the black devourer cannon, I felt a familiar figure behind me. It was Galagon, Odhe, who was faster than anyone I knew. A purple sphere emerged from the bundle of tentacles located at the corner of its mouth and flew towards the fleet. The little sphere looked very fragile and insignificant. However, the owner who created the sphere was the great dragon queen. It is a power that Red Galagon tempered with starlight. When the purple sphere, Star Flame, collided with the leader of the fleet, an enormous wave spread everywhere. It was such an enormous explosion of energy that it paralyzed the auxiliary organs for an instant. After the energy dissipated and the shock wave subsided, nothing was felt in the area where the star flame swept over. The reinforcements called by the enemy disappeared without leaving even a little dust behind. Open corner bracket. The power of stars. Open corner bracket. Twice. Open corner bracket. It's hard. Odai, who has wiped out the enemies, approaches staggeringly. The guy looked very tired, probably because he fired star flames continuously while not being a full-fledged Red Galagon. Is it so bad that even red armor can't maintain it? Open corner bracket. Big adult. Open corner bracket. Me. Open corner bracket. Did you do well? Zuzuzu. It was a perfect move. Open corner bracket. Praise. Open corner bracket. I'm happy. The guy who sensed the sincerity in my brief compliment expressed joy. He did enough. You can rest now. Of course, the battle is not over yet, so I have to protect it. I stretched out my wing arms towards him. At that moment, Adai's body trembled. A sticky liquid flows from the small Galagon's abdomen and spreads throughout space. He slowly fell onto my hands. Adai. As soon as I realized that the liquid was blood, I quickly grabbed it and pulled it inside my body. Open corner bracket. Ammo. F. Enemy ahead, in the rubble. Without any time to worry about Adai's condition, Isabel's thought wave flew in. Just as he said, there was something among the debris left behind when the heavenly sword exploded. A strange-looking creature was watching me, holding a rifle-shaped weapon. Akira Eugene. The undead megacorp ranker is aiming for my head. Watch next episode. C396. I examined the enemy with the accessory under my chin. Akira Eugene floating among the broken ship wreckage. In the game, I fought the Megacorp ranker so many times that I got sick of it. I have battled with the third place over there more than a dozen times. However, the person here now is very different from what I remembered. Megacorp players can strengthen their bodies through genetic modification like a morph or outspacer. However, like the two races, the collected genes cannot be used immediately, they must be made into samples. And since genetic samples have been changed for human use, their quality is significantly lower than that of purified water. Because of this, it is impossible for Megacorp's humans to change into beings with completely different appearances, such as a morph and outspacer. At best, he looks like a Hulk mutant. In the case of Sion Eugene and Code Black, who I fought with, they did not deviate too much from the human framework. But it was hard to see Akira Eugene over there as a human being. Compound eyes reminiscent of insect eyes, 4 horns. Sprouting from the temples, a height of nearly 5 meters, scales covering the entire body, large wings, 4 elongated arms divided from the shoulder blades, and large wings sprouting from the back. They all looked distant from humans. If it weren't for the rifle-shaped weapon in his right hand, it would have been difficult to think of him as a human. The moment I thought that, the thing moved. Its body moves closer at an incredible speed, as if it is skipping through space. Does this mean that the wings on the back are not decoration? It's much faster than I thought. I quickly moved Oddeye from my fighting arm to the small arm near my chest. The one that approached in an instant swung one of its 4 arms. The arm with the hook at the end looks similar to the bone scythe arm I own. Just before the claw was stuck on its snout, it quickly craned its neck back. As if it didn't just look alike, its claws cut off the carapace at the end of its snout. If I had been even a little late, my snout would have been cut in half. After narrowly avoiding a fatal wound, I counterattacked with my eroding tentacles. The Medusa organ is applied to the erosion tentacles. If you succeed in stabbing it with its tentacle appendages, you can turn it into a chunk of quartz. An enemy that does not react even when it sees a flying tentacle. Instead, the wings on its back began to react by emitting energy. I know what those wings, where energy is rapidly concentrated, mean. Should I avoid it right now? The distance is too close. Just as the ray was about to be fired from the wing, the left wing melted and scattered like powder sprinkled on water. Isabel fired Vortex 1's pistol from above my wing arm. He must have decided that this was dangerous, so he stopped the attack and tried to retreat. My encroaching tentacles caught its leg just in the nick of time. Although Akira is close to 5 meters tall, my body is much taller than him. The tentacles' appendages easily tore off the creature's left leg. I was about to rip off the entire leg, but an obstacle came from behind. These were the battleships of Megacorp and Star Union that blocked me from attacking the Heavenly Sword. The torpedoes and heat rays they fired hit my back. Akira escaped from the tentacles while the battleships were keeping me in check. Instead of chasing him, I moved out of the battleship's firing range. The battleships continued to attack with their auxiliary guns and moved toward Akira. It's not nice to see enemies uniting, but it can't be helped. This side also needs time to repair as it has a mortally wounded Oddeye with it. Besides, Akira was seriously injured. The guy who quickly retreated cut off the entire injured leg with his claws. It was probably done to avoid the Medusa Institute. While I was thinking that, something strange happened. New body parts protruded from where the wings and legs were cut off. What? The leg that protruded from the wound was protected by a thick carapace, and the newly grown wing was narrower and longer than the right one. The regenerative and recovery properties are to restore the damaged area to its original form, not to reconstruct it into a completely different appearance. The creature's newly acquired wings and legs looked as if they had been transplanted and replaced with body parts from another creature. Aim off. Joe, deep sea. That's his perk. At that time, Isabel sent a thought wave to me. Open corner bracket. It is a privilege to create a body from within the body based on stored genes and quickly replace it. It definitely had a strong feeling of replacement with new legs and wings rather than regeneration. It seems to be a perk similar in nature to Cyborg's module replacement ability. No, rather, it is similar to a variable biological weapon. The right wing that was trying to fire the beam earlier was similar to that of creatures I know. It's similar to the wings of the arcane orca. It is much smaller than the original and does not have any unique, beautiful patterns. However, its form and ability to fire energy beams are very similar to that of the arcane orca. In addition, the arm with claws that tried to scratch me, and the newly grown left wing and leg were all imitations of the apex creature. Change several parts at the same time. Variable biological weapons can only be changed one part at a time, even temporarily, unless the void dice is in effect. It is unclear what restrictions there will be on his ability to transform his body, but at this point, his perks are superior to this one. Zuzuzuzuzu, any other perks? Boy, are the perks, there are 7 of them in total. Zuzu, 7. Among the players I killed, the one with the most perks was Jason. In my case, there are 5 feet mark of strong enemy, characteristics that I acquired by killing him and other players. It is unclear whether he killed a player with multiple perks like me, or 6 other rankers besides himself. The important thing is that Akira has many perks. 7 is more than me. Luckily, I can't use the 2 items here. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu can't be used here. Is this a limited perk? The guy nodded to my question. The characteristic of a strong enemy's token that I possess is powerful, but has limitations in its use. I think the same goes for his perks. Still, 5 is the same as mine. The wave of thought sent by Isabel was deeply ingrained with anxiety. Let's summarize. It has a perk that contaminates genes, a perk that is close to upward compatibility with variable biological weapons, and 3 more perks. Of course you can't help but be worried. It won't be easy. Besides, the situation is not good here. I monitored Adai with my auxiliary organ and checked on Adai held in his small arms. Her small, delicate body was cooling down rapidly, as if to prove that her life force was draining away. Amov. Little baby's condition is very serious. PS-111 crawled down onto his arm and quickly checked on Adai. Open corner bracket APNC, active, confirmed. If you don't take action quickly, it will be dangerous. Official name. Anti-psychic nanite cartridge. This weapon, called APNC for short, is a nanomachine bullet made by Star Union. If the target is successfully hit, the built-in micro machines activate and absorb all nearby psychic power. It is very small in size and can be considered a blood reaver that only absorbs psychic power. However, except that it is equipped with nanomachines, it is not much different from the storm gun's depleted uranium bomb. It does not cause significant damage to creatures with extremely thick shells like me or to beings that do not use psychic powers. The problem is that Adai, not me, got APNC. If it had been a normal white Galagon, it would not have suffered such fatal injuries. This is because as Galagon grows, its scales become harder, making it difficult to damage it with stormgun-level firepower. However, Adai was born with a naturally small body. If you do not have red armor, you can be seriously injured even by APNC, which is weak in the power of the bullet itself. Like now. Zuz, Zuzuzu, Zuzu, Zuzuzu, any other poisons or contaminants. Open corner bracket not confirmed, not. I'm fortunate that no fatal poison that I don't know about was injected, but I can't be optimistic about that. If it continues like this, I won't be able to last much longer. Not only is the injury itself serious, but the nanorobots inside the body are continuously eating away at the psychic power. If you don't act quickly as PS-111 warned, you will die like this. I would like to implant recovery-related characteristics, but, unfortunately, that is not possible. This is because the genes responsible for recovery and regeneration were contaminated due to Akira's manipulations. Still, the fortunate thing among the misfortunes is that there is someone else here besides me who has the power to heal wounds. Mother of Heaven. Having gained the power of the Phantom Beast Thunderbird, she has powerful healing abilities. After gathering my thoughts, I immediately created a wave with the monster's tentacles. Zuz Zuzuzu, everyone come here. My message spreads into outer space. The kids who were fighting fiercely from afar react to this. The silver cloud stretching between the ships turned blue and then disappeared. And a moment later, it appeared, tearing up the space near me. Thanks to number 26 receiving my message and delivering it to the metallic gremlins, everyone came here together. Filled square, open corner bracket grr. Open corner bracket, the enemy fleet just jumped and disappeared. What happened? The silver demons and my clones that flew in during the middle of the fight looked confused. Heavenly Mother, who was among them, saw me and flew over with no. 26. Open corner bracket little baby. The 2 who came close stopped when they saw Adai in my arms. Soon, No 26's body, which was in battle mode, began to turn white. The little baby is hurt. The Mother of Sky, who was in griffin form, also trembled with her amber eyes when she saw Adai covered in blood. Open corner bracket, that blood, really? Open corner bracket, you can't die. Zuzuzu, calm down. With strong will, I fired a wave at the 2. Zuzzu Zuz, Adai never dies. I've never had such a strong impact on these guys before. Maybe that was why the two, especially number 26, stiffened their bodies. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I don't have time. You have to help me. Open corner bracket. What do you plan to do? Perhaps because the Heavenly Mother had already experienced losing something precious, she came out of her panic earlier than no. 26. She kept her eyes fixed on Adai and waited for my answer. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I will hand over the Revenant Agency to you here. Open corner bracket what? Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I need the power of the Thunderbird to save him. Her eyes widened when she heard what I said. Watch next episode. C397. Even Heavenly Mother knows the detailed activation conditions for the Revenant Agency. This is because they talked about how to use it when fighting Jason in Adaja's former hometown. Later, when I was able to pass on up to 2 characteristics to others thanks to the double helix monolith, she asked for the Revenant organ. And superior homeostasis. Revenant engine is a trait that is automatically activated only when life is about to end. To overcome this shortcoming, strong recovery characteristics are needed. Superior homeostasis was a characteristic that was well suited to the Revenant Agency. So I passed the trait on to her after the Magmasaur hunt on the volcanic planet. Since I acquired it again, both she and I now have that trait. Therefore, all conditions were met for Heavenly Mother to utilize the Revenant Agency. Jazuzazazizazizes, I'll send Dom ad high and PS111 to Giga Cracker. The reason PS111 is also being sent is because APNC is in operation. The ultra-small mechanical device that absorbs psychic power cannot be removed using recovery abilities. While the Sky Mother uses the Thunderbird's powers to keep Adai alive, PS111 must deal with the nanomachines. Are you sure it's okay? The Mother of Heaven let out a thought wave containing complex emotions. It's not like she's worrying for nothing. That's because Heaven's Mother has never used the Revenant Agency, either in the game or in this world. All the information I heard from the community and the explanation I gave was all. This is why they wanted to send her, a powerful woman, to a safe place. If she makes a mistake or something goes wrong, both she and Adai will be in danger. It will probably be a lot of burden. But I believe she will succeed. Zuzuzuzu, you can do it. Open corner bracket ellipsis dot close corner bracket. To be precise, I believe in the strength of her feelings for Adai. Because she has experienced losing precious things, she knows better than anyone else how terrible and scary it is. So you will never fail. She closed her eyes after hearing my short, strong wavelength. Her heartbeat, which had been beating uneasily, gradually stabilized as she listened to her heart. Please. After gathering her thoughts, Heavenly Mother stuck her head toward my snout. Transforming into a symbol of hunting, an auxiliary organ surrounded by a sharp bone blade touched the griffin's beak. When we activate the double helix monolith, the power to manipulate genetic essence, a response comes from inside the body. All the structures that make up the body, including blood, flesh, bones, and carapace, are split and combined. Even though there was no change on the outside, a high level of chemical reaction occurred inside. After a while, the result flowed out from the end of the bone blade covering the accessory organ. It was a genetic essence made up of ingredients similar to the black slime produced during growth. A drop of liquid as small as a human fingertip fell to the Heavenly Mother. The liquid containing the information of the Revenant Agency quickly seeped into her beak. And it quickly spread throughout the body. The characteristic passed safely. Once the genetic essence rearrangement is completed, she can also use the Revenant organ. Zuzuzu, I'll send Adai now. She, whose body was still adjusting, nodded instead of answering. I was about to use the starlight coordinates on Adai when I suddenly felt a strong impact on my head. A torpedo fired by a Star Union battleship hit my head shell and exploded. From that point on, the enemy's offensive began again. Open corner bracket you bastard. Isabel urgently warns. Among the incoming torpedoes, a particularly fast-moving object is detected. Akira is hiding among the projectiles and is targeting me. He points the muzzle of a weapon resembling a rifle at me. There's no way I don't know that APNC is useless to me. It must have been loaded with different bullets. He already cut off my carapace once, so he knows that my defense has increased significantly. If it's not APNC, it's probably a bullet with enough power to cause great damage to me. No matter what happens, it's not good to get hit. Just as I was trying to avoid the mysterious attack, number 26, who had been frozen, stepped forward. This person, Don't keep disturbing the little baby when she's in pain. Before I could stop him, an enormous amount of psychic power was released from his body. Large and small purple streaks spread out in all directions, as if the cult fleet had fired their psychic guns all at once. The incoming torpedoes and aircraft exploded as soon as they touched the psychic net he had spread. In an instant, the entire area was filled with red flames and metal fragments. It's scary. It is a psychic power management technique so destructive that you would not think it was number 26. It was reminiscent of when the sea demon violently exerts power against players in the game. In the hell created by the angry number 26, the only surviving being was Akira. The torpedo that was intended for cover suddenly exploded, and the guy who failed in his surprise attack took aim at me again. At that time, Isabel pulled out Vortex 1's pistol. Both pulled the trigger. At almost the same time, but Isabel was slightly faster. The bullet that was just fired disappears as is. The invisible and undetectable power of Vortex 1 swallowed up the bullet and the barrel of the gun Akira was holding. Thanks to the connection between number 26 and Isabel, it became impossible to know what bullet he was trying to fire. The guy who lost his ace in an instant irritably threw away his broken weapon. And then it flew in to attack me directly. You might be thinking of cutting me with your claws like before, but this time the situation is different. The clones born from Hydra Division, left head, and right head, blocked its path. Open corner bracket gur. Open corner bracket gur. As my clones and Akira began to fight, the battleships in the rear also flew in to support him. The metallic gremlins here also moved again against the metal structures created by humans and cyborgs. Now is your chance. The enemies are caught up in the melee and are out of their minds. Thanks to this, I had time to move Adai. I carefully took Adai out from my small arms. I was trying to bring the auxiliary device closer to use the starlight coordinates, but it moved slightly. Open corner bracket big adult. Unlike usual, the wave of thought that Adai released was very weak. Even though it was this close, it was barely noticeable by the monster's tentacles. I told you that you grew up. And I complimented you, but I'm sorry. Zuzu, no. I gently stroked his head with my fingers. Zuzu 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 zuzu, you are my pride. You don't know how thankful I am for having you. These are not empty words, they are sincere. At first, it was just a contractual relationship. I thought of it only as a guide who would lead me to the dragon's nest, a treasure trove of precious genetic essence. But now things have completely changed. He has become one of the most precious things to me. If it were me in the past, I would never understand this feeling. Zuzuzu 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 zuzu, and the leader of the group does not apologize casually. Adai touches my wavelength and wags his tail slightly. It must have been because he felt my sincerity and expressed joy. With that, the guy's thought wave was completely cut off. He lost consciousness due to his injuries. Delaying any longer than this is dangerous. I aimed my auxiliary organ at the guy and focused my attention. Soon, it was enveloped in blue light and disappeared from the palm of my hand. The guy was sent safely. The Mother of Heaven also saw this and prepared for a faster-than-light voyage. Blue particles enveloped her body just as Adai had. Open corner bracket amorph. Just before leaving, she called me. Now I couldn't answer because of the starlight coordinate penalty. As if she knew that, she said a short word. Do not die. After that, she disappeared from here. On the black space she left, only blue particles remained, evidence of faster-than-light travel. After a while, the penalty was over and we could move. All that remains is PS-111. He took out the MPS-05, which was in power-saving mode, from the storage space underneath the body. Take it, I'll take it over the MPS-5 that came. In case of emergency, we can contact you. Zoo, yes. Once the treatment is over, Giga Cracker will come to support you. I received MPS-05, kept it in my mouth, and sent PS-111 to Gigacracker. But right after he disappeared, enemy battleships started coming this way. The unique energy waves generated when traveling at faster than light speeds attracted the attention of enemies. The enemies are slowly surrounding me to catch me as I cannot move. Among them, Star Union's warships were fully equipped with APD, anti-psychic drones. This is to prevent torpedoes or ships from exploding with psychic power. As the distance narrows to a certain extent, the battleship's main guns aim at me all at once. Number 26 saw that and trembled. Even if he can't beat that many APDs. Even the psychic breath I fired with all my might was easily blocked by them. Here, it is best to withstand the enemy's attacks until you can move your body. That's what I thought, but something unexpected happened. Number 26's body twisted grotesquely, and then thousands or tens of thousands of tentacles came out. Tentacles large and small stretched out like waves, piercing the APDs spread everywhere. It looks like it uses saw blade tentacles, mimic tentacles, and even the ability to change its body, but I'm not sure. Because the sea demon in the game has never shown this ability. The guy who deleted about a quarter of the operating APDs in an instant spread his psychic power through the gap. At the same time, eyes made of psychic power were created on translucent pink skin. A bad piece of metal that harasses a big baby. I really hate it. A being called the nightmare of the ocean planet and the devil of the sea. The devil roars in the black depths of the universe. A word from the author's review, double helix monolith. You can transfer your characteristics, except the unique characteristic, to a friendly creature. The implanted traits are permanent, and each creature can only have 2 implantable traits. The implantable traits are affected by the level increase of the space monster type. *PS. It is up to you whether you will become a guide or a destroyer. Close corner bracket. Watch the next episode. C398. Waves of pink flesh flow over empty space. The sight of countless tentacles intertwined and spreading out was like the sea in a storm. Perhaps the expression storm would be appropriate. The steel ships were swept away and sunk by tentacles coming from all directions. Their screams and cries echoed and died down in the rush of psychic power. The enraged sea demon, number 26, is leading the ship and its crew to their deaths. Number 26, was it that strong? Isabel, who saw this, let out a wave of astonishment. I couldn't give an answer right away due to the penalty of starlight coordinates, but I have similar thoughts. The largest sea demon I have ever seen is the corpse of the sea demon I saw in the deep sea before. Although it was a corpse in its normal state, its size was larger than that of number 26, which was in combat mode. However, number 26, which was rampaging in front of me, was overwhelmingly larger than any other sea demon. Because of the enormous amount of tentacles that had expanded, its size seemed to easily exceed several hundred meters. Moreover, its tentacles are growing in size and number in real time. The body was already buried inside the bundle of tentacles and was no longer visible. What it now looks like is a giant rose made of pink tentacles and numerous eyeballs piled on top of each other. A gorgeous flower that spreads psychic power instead of scent, sweeping away enemies with terrifying force. Even while ruthlessly destroying enemy ships, they never attacked me or the metallic gremlin. The group of metallic gremlins who were afraid of number 26 at first quickly changed their attitude and helped him. Unlike before, the ships of Megacorp and Star Union responding to No 26's offensive were slow to respond. This is because the communication network was paralyzed due to the psychic power emitted by No 26. Enemies were struggling and were swept away by tentacles or bitten by silver demons rushing from all directions. The battleships that were targeting me, who could not move due to the starlight coordinate penalty, also scattered in all directions due to the greater risk factor. What happened? Even if number 26 has the ability to change its tentacles, it has never changed its appearance as drastically as I did. In cases where a person's body suddenly changes, there is usually a trigger, such as eating an apex creature or receiving a trait from me. But this time, there is no element that can make him grow. Are the effects of eating magmasaur showing now? Or because of Vortex 1 predation? As I was reviewing the various foods that number 26 ate, something suddenly occurred to me. Screamer. The screamers that number 26 faced here were all made using special materials. This is the corpse of Jason, a cult ranker with powerful psychic abilities. While I was dealing with the enemy main force, he was fighting and feasting on Jason's screamers. Did absorbing a large amount of psychic power at once have an effect? Or, it may be that the various foods I had eaten so far and the enormous energy I consumed this time created a complex synergy that promoted the change. If it became like that because it ate energy. When all the psychic power stored in the body is used up, it will return to its original state. Moreover, enemies who are immediately confused will soon adapt. Since they are the ones who came to catch me, they must have prepared at least some countermeasures against EMP. So we have to kill Akira Eugene now. You must cut off the enemy's head before the chaos ends. And it seems he also thought the same way as me. The one who was supposed to be competing with my clones is flying this way. Behind him, Star Union warships that were not caught up in No 26's EMP were seen taking their time against the clones. Akira, who has escaped the clone, quickly approaches me. Akira closed the distance and pointed his right wing at me. Isabel saw him trying to fire a light bullet and went to keep him in check. The guy who moved away from me like a snake swimming across the water picked up a pistol. The point where the gun is pointed is Akira's right wing. When the trigger was pulled, the power of Vortex 1 contained in the gun barrel was activated. However, Akira, who had already been hit once, dodged the pistol attack by diving down. At the same time, it unfolded its destroyed and then replaced left wing and shook it loudly. Then, small objects came out from inside the wings and flew towards Isabel on their own. As soon as Isabel saw Akira counterattack, she moved her body to avoid it, but she was one step too late. Projectiles resembling sharp blades cut into the arm and torso holding the pistol. Open corner bracket exclamation mark close corner bracket. Isabel quickly retrieved the pistol floating in the air. Meanwhile, Akira approached him closely. Its claws flashed like lightning, cleanly cut cables and metal tubes scattering across space. Isabel narrowly avoided Akira's attack aimed at her eyes. It bent its elongated body and attempted to entangle the enemy entirely. Akira grabbed Isabel's torso with both hands that did not have claws. When he applied force in that state, the outer shell made of Vortex 1's body began to crumple. Isabel counterattacked with several swings of her hands, but was unable to do much damage to the enemy. Open corner bracket run. It's dangerous. The moment she was caught, she should have escaped right away, but Isabel made a wrong decision. Akira took the guy's attack and raised his clawed arm high. Just before the sharp nail plunged into the top of Isabel's head, a pink pillar appeared behind her. The tentacle sent by number 26 hit Akira hard. Akira fell from the shock, and Isabel was freed from her restraints. Little friend, are you okay? Yes, thank you. Akira, who was hit by a tentacle several meters thick, suffered no injuries. However, he seemed in a bad mood, perhaps because his work was being interrupted. The guy fired a light bullet and exploded the tentacle that hit him. I will beat up the bad girl. Number 26, who was filled with anger just like him, instead of feeling pain, responded by sending more tentacles. Isabel, who was greatly defeated in close combat, hid among the tentacles and held the creature in check with a pistol and Galligan's claw sword implanted in its tail. While Isabel and number 26 dealt with Akira, the penalty ended. After being able to move my body, I jumped into the battlefield again. Green heat rays moving dizzyingly and metal missiles with a strong smell of gunpowder brush against my large wings. Fragments of broken ships, corpses of humans and cyborgs crash and crumble on my carapace. I broke through the chaos and approached the enemy, sending out a tentacle to capture Akira. It did aerobatics and avoided the 6 tentacles I shot. At the same time, it swung its left wing and fired sharp projectiles. I quickly retrieved the erosion tentacles before the objects he radiated ripped them apart. Then the guy turned sharply and rushed at me. At the same time, I can feel a large amount of energy gathering from its right wing. The intention is to snipe me from close range. But instead of dodging, I ran towards the approaching guy. The moment the light bullet was fired from its wing, a pink wall appeared in front of my head. Number 26 stretched out several tentacles and took the attack instead. The tentacles turned into pieces of meat in an instant, but thanks to that, I was able to avoid the energy bullets. I swung the bone blade covered accessory at Akira beyond the piece of flesh. The bone blades that form when hunting is as hard as the head carapace and are very sharp. Akira quickly extended his claws to block my attack. A fierce spark flashed, cracking its claws in my bone blade. With our blades touching each other, he kicked the tip of my muzzle with both legs. Even though it was overwhelmingly smaller than me, the power contained in the kick was by no means small. At the same time as my head was pushed back, his body also rapidly moved away. There, it spread its wings and prepared to attack me. But it cannot be said that it is very wise to focus only on me when fighting with myself. A large head protruded from the side of the thing. This is the left head that flew in after receiving my call while dealing with a warship. It opened its mouth wide like a snake and chewed Akira's right wing hard. As its wings collapse, its face also becomes distorted. It ripped off its wings without hesitation and slashed at the clone's head with its hooked claws. A hole appeared in the hard carapace, and blood mixed with flesh inside gushed out. Akira, who had sunk his claws into the corpse, opened his mouth when he saw the blood fountain gushing from the wound. Then the mortally wounded left side of the head grabbed him with his fighting arms. Then his head melted like water. Isabel shot him with a pistol. If it were an ordinary human being, this would have been the end of it, but this guy is not an ordinary being. It's not over yet, huh? Akira did not die even though his head was blown off. It tore off the clone's hand with its hooked claws and quickly retreated. Taking advantage of Akira's retreat, I approached the head on the left. He has suffered fatal injuries and is no longer able to function. Great job. Come back now. I held the bone blade covered auxiliary organ against the clone and deactivated Hydra split. The liquefied clone came into my body via the auxiliary organs and snout. After a while, the left side of my neck rose from the area between my neck and shoulder. Currently, I cannot use the recovery attribute due to Akira's trap. Maybe that's why the left side of my head that came back to me was recovered. In a state where it wasn't completely healed. At that time, Isabel sent a wave to me. Open corner bracket inheritance, ingestion, you can't do it. Zuzuzuzu, is it a perk? Open corner bracket, it's a perk to ingest something, imitate its appearance. The moment he recognized Isabel's wavelength, Akira's appearance in the distance began to change. The body, which had lost its head and one wing, was twisted and then transformed into a familiar shape. Open corner bracket aim off P, I ate the flesh, so. It has a large head carapace, an elongated neck, protruding horns where the eyes should be, auxiliary organs growing under the chin, 2 wings, 4 arms, and a long tail. Although its body size was only about 10 meters, its shape was something I had seen many times before. Imorph. Akira's newly transformed appearance was very similar to my clone, an adult Imorph with only one head. Akira smiled, showing his teeth as if he liked the world where he felt like an auxiliary organ. I guess I'm quite satisfied with my imitation. Zuz, Zuzu, 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 Zuzu. If it was a special privilege like that, I would have told you in advance. Open corner bracket, I don't have time. Sorry. Isabel, who was very nervous, apologized to me. What he said is true, so I have no intention of saying anything. An enemy imitating Imorph. If you are dealing with another rancor, taking on the form of a pseudo-amorph is not a bad choice. This is because the adult Imorph with various characteristics applied guarantees powerful combat power. If it were another rancor, it seems like he pulled out his trump card with the intention of ending me here, but that was a mistake. I am the only Amorph rancor. If your opponent is Amorph, you will never lose. A word from the author review, a new illustration commissioned to commemorate 6 million views has been completed. The main characters of this illustration are PS111 and Isabel. Character settings can be found in the illustration collection notice. See next episode. C399. Nemea 5, the 5th member of the Machine Committee, was currently in Megacorp's territory. The reason he, one of the rulers of Star Union, came here in person was because of the Great Leader's orders. In conjunction with Megacorp, the task is to subdue an unidentified creature called Special Target A. Forces that had been hostile for a long time came together to capture just one animal. Of course, if you look at what Special Objective A did, it is difficult to regard it as a single living thing. This is because the entity has a record of destroying the 11th member, Pira 11, and destroying an elite fleet. The fleet can be restored quickly, but the Supreme Council cannot. Most of the data was lost, except for some knowledge that Pira 11 had backed up. One of the pillars supporting Star Union was shaken. Therefore, the Machinery Committee put its utmost effort into this subjugation operation. In addition to linking up with Megacorp, a large army and a total of 3 top members were dispatched to command it. The size of the punitive force sent by Star Union was such that it could easily be called an expedition force. But now, dozens of minutes after the battle began, Nemea 5 realized. The Mechanical Committee made a wrong decision. I request Anders. You're under siege by metallic gremlins. Please apply right away. Sashabi reports. The creature that Special Target A is carrying suddenly, a monster that cannot be detected by the detection system, save me. Qua. It's crazy. Looking at Mr. Gesta. It's crazy. Suddenly, a citadel of machines with no traces of life, an XAX-01 class battleship. The ship's ruler, Nemea 5, was sitting on a rough metal throne, sorting out urgent communications coming from all directions. It wasn't like this. Just a few minutes ago. Special Objective A was caught in a trap prepared by Megacorp's CEO, and the deformed Galagon he was carrying was fatally injured. The damage suffered by the fleet in the process of getting there was considerable, but it was within the allowable range. As time passes, it is the punitive force that becomes more advantageous. The top committee members judged that it was beneficial to continue the operation as is. But this too was a misjudgment. The situation changed in an instant. Now even the Supreme Council members could not predict the fate of the battle. So you have to make a decision here. The Nemea 5 sent a message to their old colleagues. Nemea 5. Report the damage status. Red Tail 8. 55% loss rate for Fleet 8. Command problems occur due to communication problems. It is predicted that the loss rate will reach 60% within 3 minutes and 21 seconds. Carlian 11. Fleet 11. Loss rate calculated at 72%. The level of destruction has been reached. The current loss rate of Fleet 5, commanded by Nemea 5, is 31%. Although the loss rate was relatively low, it was meaningless because the 8th and 11th fleets that came with it suffered significant damage. In particular, the newly produced Carlian 11, which replaced the destroyed Pira 11, was still very immature. Although he had the same knowledge and physical skills as other members, he lacked the ability to deal with the situation. Nemea 5. As a result of calculating the probability of operation failure, it reached 71%. I judge that it is necessary to retreat immediately. Red Tail 8. Denial. The Mechanical Committee requested that we retreat when an 80% probability is achieved. Carlian 11. We request an analysis from the Mechanical Committee. Red Tail expressed opposition to Nemea 5's opinion, and Carlian was unable to present an independent opinion. Nemea 5. Denial. Before the analysis results are released, the probability that Fleet 8 will enter the destruction phase is calculated to be 67%. You have to make a decision before that to reduce the loss rate. Red Tail 8. Some positives. I agree with the opinion that a decision must be made before the 8th fleet is destroyed. However, deciding to retreat within 5 minutes is against the decision of the Mechanical Committee. Carlian 11. Difficult to analyze. We request an analysis from the Mechanical Committee. Nemea 5 twitched his fingers ever so slightly at Red Tail's stubborn attitude and Carlian 11's mechanical response. Nemea 5. There are concerns about damage to the Supreme Council if the operation continues. The safety of the members who participated in the operation must be prioritized. Red Tail 8. Some denial. The current Supreme Council model has been improved. Unless a special variable occurs, the probability of a loss of a member is only 11%. Isn't the situation like this because that particular variable is continuing to occur? An unfamiliar sensation that had never been felt before flashed in Nemea 5's mind and then disappeared. Just as I was about to realize that it was an emotion called impatience, a message was delivered to Nemea's head. After confirming the contents of the message, Nemea immediately shared the information with the committee members. Nemea 5. Confirmation of large-scale energy reaction within the N51 star system. Carlian 11. Question. Are they reinforcements? Close corner bracket. Open corner bracket. Nemea 5. Denial. As a result of energy response analysis, it was confirmed that 5 anti-planetary weapons manufactured by St. K are preparing to enter. Quote. Red Tail 8. Question. Megacorp suggested that it would not deploy anti-planetary weapons in this operation. Is this false? Nemea 5. Denial. It was confirmed that the corresponding planetary weapons voluntarily came to support after receiving a rescue signal sent from a Megacorp ship. Carlian 11. Question. Estimated time of arrival. Close corner bracket. Open corner bracket. Nemea 5. It is estimated to take less than 10 minutes. Intrusion of undiscussed reinforcements. And these are not ordinary ships, but 5 anti-planetary weapons, giga crackers, are suddenly trying to enter here. The firepower of 5 giga crackers is enough to wipe out not only Special Target A but also the entire Star Union fleet here. From their perspective as the most powerful people in Star Union, this was a very suspicious act. Nemea 5. I again suggest canceling the operation. Red Tail 8. 2 agree. We retreat one by one, starting with the ships whose communication functions have been restored. Carlian 11. 2 agree. The occurrence of special variables, mentioned by Red Tail. With that, the failure of the operation was decided. Akira mutated into a form resembling a morph. It changed the small arms on its chest, fighting arms, and tail to different shapes. The fighting arm changed into a blunt warhammer shape, and the smaller arm became a clawed arm. The tail had a mouth with a pointed appendage at the end, like a tentacle. I used the perk to randomly change body parts and the perk to imitate myself at the same time. Zuzu 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 Zuzuzu. Any other perks other than that? Open corner bracket. Life support. There is a perk, Zuzu Zuzu, life support. Open corner bracket. If you have a special organ, you won't die at any time, no. Even if the head and heart are gone. As he said, even though his head was blown off, he had no problem moving at all. Is this a similar mechanism to Vortex 1? Because they won't die unless you destroy the part called the Avital core. Then what happens to genetic essence predation? It's unclear whether you can eat its head like other living things, or whether you have to eat its life support organs like the Vortex one. Should I eat it and check for myself? However, there is one issue to consider before feasting on it. Akira can contaminate genes. If you hastily eat its body, there is a high chance of falling into a trap like when you ate its shadow. Regardless of its special organs or head, the moment I eat its meat, my body will become greatly weakened. They say it will return to its original state over time. In the heat of battle, becoming weaker than you are now is fatal. Risk factors should be reduced as much as possible before eating. In the end, there is only one answer. Making Akira unable to move for a while. The head and special organs must be targeted after neutralizing it. I spread my wings and sprinted towards Akira. It also spread its wings wide and faced me. And then a strong shock shook my head. A massive hammer-like arm crushed my horn and lodged itself inside my skull. At the same time, my auxiliary organ surrounded by bone blades pierced its leg. In that state, he started to push his staked fighting arm into my head. I opened my mouth and stuck out my double chin. The power of the double jaw is strong enough to crush the magmasaur's outer shell. The moment the jaws were about to bite the guy's abdomen mercilessly, the clawed arms that had moved to the chest moved. Open corner bracket pain reduction activated. Along with the sharp pain, the taste of blood spread into my mouth. He cut off his double chin tongue with his claws. The guy pulled out the arm that was stuck in his head and hit me like a slap on the muzzle. My neck was bent to the side against my will, and my body was pushed back significantly. If this were on a planet, I would have put my head on the ground in an unsightly manner. He smiled with his teeth exposed. Probably thinking the same thing as me. I also laugh like that when I succeed in hunting, and it felt strange to see someone else do that. At that time, a large pink tentacle flew into its side. Akira quickly covered his body with wings that were much larger than before and defended against No 26's attack. However, number 26 also seems to have expected that the opponent would block it this time. In its second attack, a web of concentrated psychic power exploded at the enemy. The amount was so enormous that it was close to twice the energy consumed by the psychic breath. Open corner bracket don't imitate the older kids. Number 26, who pressures Akira with enormous power beyond that of the sea demon. Instead of blocking with his wings, Akira responded by switching body parts this time. When the horns protruding from its head touched the psychic power, the energy scattered in all directions. Horn of Galagon. It broke free of its restraints with its horn, which had the effect of tearing up the energy field, and attempted to bite off No 26's tentacles. The intention is to imitate the appearance of number 26, a special sea demon. I can't leave it like that. I rotated my body sharply and swung my tail wildly. The one that tried to hit number 26 was hit by the pincer at the end of its tail and flew away. Before long, it stopped itself by spreading the membranes on its wings. All other parts were fine, but the arms attached to the chest had been completely crushed by the pincers. The guy casually tore off the damaged arms with his teeth. After a while, two arms with long bone blades appeared in its place. It looks exactly like the arm with the bone scythe that appears when hunting. Instead of charging at him, I turned around. The guy was following closely behind me, who seemed to be giving up. A turquoise beam of light shot out from the end of its tail and hit my back. It was similar to the particle beam fired by Crystal Wing, but its power was much stronger due to its higher output. Every time it was hit by a beam of light, its armor fell off and a large wound appeared. As I was unable to recover, the number of small wounds on my body increased. The one who destroyed my carapace with particle rays accelerated and climbed on top of my body. Then he plunged his arm with the bone knife into my wound and dug out pieces of flesh. Open corner bracket pain reduction activated. Dizzying pain comes from ruptured muscles and torn flesh. At the same time, the enemy's emotions can be felt as the blade mercilessly pierces the wound. Akira takes pleasure in torturing me. The perks he possesses have excellent synergy with each other. Because of that, even though he imitates a morph, he is overwhelming me and the kids. You must be thinking, it's true that it's powerful, but it's not enough to completely overwhelm me like it does now. There is a reason why I acted out my helpless running away. It's about luring him to a specific place. Strong energy reactions can be felt not far away. The heat rays fired by the battleships get closer. And one of them hit my back, Akira to be exact. Could it be that the aiming devices on the battleships were broken due to the psychic power unleashed by No. 26? The guy is embarrassed. But that wasn't a mistake. All of the heat rays that flew in next hit Akira. It fell from my body to avoid the barrage of plasma. As it fell, the heat rays fired by the battleship's main guns split into two. The targets the battleships were aiming for were him and me. Akira is shocked when he sees that. He realized what he was like. Now I can't even transform. Even my enemies know that I can change my body and fight at will. Even if he were to transform into something other than a morph, those warships wouldn't be suspicious. Even if he left information about his transformation abilities with the fleet commanders, the same would apply. Due to communication instability due to No 26's psychic power and the messenger of chaos I used, the enemy's connection has become very vulnerable. In this situation, smooth communication cannot be expected. Zoo, idiot. Filled square, filled square, filled square, filled square, filled square, filled square. I bared my teeth at him and jumped into where the enemy ships were gathered. The guy who saw me laughing let out a roar of anger and chased after me. The chase resumed amid heat rays raining down from all directions. However, the aspect was very different from before. The guy who had overwhelmed me with speed just a moment ago was now barely keeping up with the tip of my tail. I can't use my skills properly because I have to avoid the rain of plasma, which is as thick as my body. As expected, his defense power is lower than mine. Its size is only 10 meters. Even if the shell material is the same as mine, the thickness is thin, so there is bound to be a difference in defense power. When you are hit by a battleship's main gun, you are the one who suffers more damage, not me. One guy has an auxiliary organ with superior performance. His eyes disappeared, mimicking the appearance of his clone, but a sensing organ appeared under his chin to replace them. Just like me, he is also using his auxiliary organs to easily avoid the attacks of battleships. Of course, I haven't been able to use it properly yet, perhaps because it's an unfamiliar feeling. You'll get used to it over time. So, we have to see the outcome before that. In the middle of a chaotic battlefield with numerous ships and metallic gremlins, I dove into the group of ships. When the distance from the ship became reasonably close, I spit out the MPS-05 that I had put in my mouth and held it in my hand. I'm thinking of using clever acronym here, so I left it out in advance. When I activated the trait, my body shrank extremely. The elongated necks and huge wings became smaller and then disappeared altogether, and the body shape was completely changed. By the end of my transformation, my body had grown to about 5 meters in size. A four-legged centaur-like body shape and fur covering the entire body are all typical characteristics of a clever underdog. Transformed into a clever underdog, I clung to the bottom of a nearby ship. Akira, who had been following me, looked embarrassed when I suddenly disappeared. You might be able to find me if you stand still and focus on your auxiliary organs, but you probably won't. This is a chaotic battlefield. In a space where all kinds of irritating elements are mixed together, it is not easy for him to find just me. It would be even more so if I were smaller. Warships everywhere were targeting Akira. The ship I was clinging to also pointed its main guns at the fake Imorph, or rather, at its own master. After challenging the enemies, I climbed the outer wall of the ship to find a suitable spot. At the same time, I called out to my alter ego, Right Head, who was still fighting on the battlefield. At that time, a battleship that was only about 100 meters away from me exploded after being hit by a blue-green beam. Akira's anger reached its peak and he started shooting particle rays at the subordinates he had brought with him. Also, the third-place player often got caught up in my distraction tactics in the game and attacked his fellow teammates. It seems like I've been in this world for a long time, but I don't think I've been able to fix that part. Thanks to you, I'm happy. While he was paying attention to something else, I settled down in a suitable spot. And just then, an alter ego appeared near Akira. Akira, like me, recognized the existence of the right side of his head. Its head is bent to the side depending on the direction the auxiliary organ is facing. And immediately, a particle beam was fired at the right side of the head. My alter ego with a hole in its chest after being hit by a beam of light. Akira flew like a flash sword and plunged his arm with the bone knife into the clone's wound. Blood gushes out like a fountain and the clone's body goes limp. The guy who smiles when he sees that. Then, the guy stops. Probably because I realized something was wrong. The clone he attacked was a decoy. As soon as the right head appeared, I prepared to snipe Akira. And the fruit just left my body. An ominously glowing chaos orb rolls around. Because he is a smart underdog, his power has been greatly reduced, but it doesn't matter. In fact, the size of the bullet is reduced, so it is more advantageous when shooting secretly like now. A bullet filled with malice gets closer to its target. Akira senses this and turns his head. It protected itself with its wings just as it did when it defended itself against No 26's attack. If it had been a different attack, it would have been a good decision, but not now. That's because the attack I fired was a psychic breath imbued with the color of the abyss. A small bead hits the wing and shatters. The chaotic colors contained within flowed out and wetted the film. Open corner bracket question mark exclamation mark close corner bracket. The psychic breath began to rapidly gnaw away at the wings. The bastard was embarrassed and cut off its wings. In the process, ominous colored bubbles moved to other areas. Psychic breath with the color of the abyss continuously eats away at organic matter until it disappears. The only way for him to get out of this is to remove all of the foamy areas. That means it will be neutralized until then. I kicked hard against the outer wall of the ship with all 4 feet. My body shot up like a bullet leaving the barrel of a gun. He also found me flying as fast as a bullet. It moved its tail to intercept me with a particle beam, but the tail also lost its function due to the bubbles. The speed of gathering energy has decreased significantly. Filled square, filled square, filled square, filled square. Akira belatedly realizes how to break the bubble and tries to separate the tail. One is too late. This is the end. He knows now too, that there is nothing that can stop me here. I shook my head violently. The bone blade growing under the chin moved along the snout and decapitated the creature. A disgusting head, clumsily imitating Amov's, floats in the air. A hybrid that has lost its head is moving its arms and legs and flapping them. I reached out and grabbed Akira's head. After this, it's time to find out where the special organ that sustains life is. The moment I thought that, an image blocked my path. You can see 5 giant spaceships that look like neatly peeled tangerine peels or flower buds in full bloom. Soon, the large turret located in the center of the spaceships began to move. Just as a blue-green flame was about to rise from the end, the image was cut off. At the same time, a strong shock came over my body. A megacorp ship hovering nearby hit me. The impact caused me to fly a long distance and land on the wreckage of a broken ship. What did you just do? There are not many cases where an image is visible to the eye while the symbol of hunting is maintained. One of them is when my predator senses alert me to danger. It was definitely 5 gigacrackers. The image was interrupted midway due to the impact on my body, but it was clear. Super weapons that exist somewhere in this star system. They are preparing an offensive. Watch next episode. C-400. This is not the time to be like this. I quickly pulled myself out of the wreckage of the ship. 5 minutes at most. The attack of 5 gigacrackers will begin within a few minutes. Currently, I have fallen into Akira's trap and my recovery ability has been sealed. If it were me now, even if just 1 gigacracker fired its ion cannon, I would be mortally wounded. If 5 ships attack at the same time, you are guaranteed to die. But it's also impossible to intercept. We've countered Imperial carriers before, but the situation is very different now. The effect of the symbol of hunting is only a few minutes away, and King of Monsters is no longer available. So there is only one option to choose now. All I have to do is leave this place right now. Wait a minute, before that. Unlike me, Akira, whose head was cut off, did not collide with the ship. Then it will remain there. I checked on the incapacitated Akira using auxiliary organs. It stayed where I hit it, floating motionless. Good. It's okay. Huh. But something was strange. The guy who was running wild when his head was cut off is now completely motionless. Like a dead body. What happened? It has a special organ that sustains life, so it does not die even if its head is cut off. In fact, Isabel blew the guy's head off, but he quickly came back to life. I need to go closer and check. I immediately dismissed. Clever underdog. The body rapidly grew larger, and the body shape returned to its original shape. As his body grew larger, Akira's head and the inactive MPS-05 he was holding became smaller than his fingernails. The mini screamer was put back in the mouth, and the head was carefully held in the small arms on the chest. In that state, it spread its wings and flew near Akira's body. When I got closer and checked, it was clear that his condition was not normal. The wound around the severed neck was wide open and empty inside. Internal organs were completely gone, and only a small amount of bone and flesh remained. It's not the color of the abyss. Psychic breath strengthened with the color of the abyss, eats up any organic object. Do not gnaw only the inside flesh instead of the outside. Something inside pulled itself out. Looking at the torn neck area, There was evidence that an object estimated to be approximately 60 to 70 centimeters had crawled out from the inside. It's as if a person wearing a doll mask has taken off his clothes. Is this a life support perk? I thought it might be a special organ that sustains life, such as the heart or a general organ. Now that I look at it, I think I misjudged. Is it its own body, or an organ that plays a similar role as the main body? On the contrary, what was thought to be Akira's body should be viewed not as a body but as biological armor. I never imagined there would be this type of perk. If you had used this, you could have taken me by surprise, so why? It's strange that the guy who laid all kinds of traps to catch me missed a good opportunity. Or did you not do it? Looking back, Akira did not abandon his fake body even when he was mistaken for an amorph or attacked by the colors of the abyss. If I had this ability, I would just have to escape from my main body and create a new body. That means that when there is only the main body, it becomes weak. Or that it takes time to create a new body after escaping. At least when fighting me, it is clear that the real body and the fake body cannot be separated. Once I dump the fake body here, the main body will be here somewhere. I abandoned my fake body, which was being engulfed by the colors of the abyss, and looked around with my auxiliary organs. The battlefield, where heat waves, torpedoes, and ships were fiercely moving back and forth just a moment ago, is now much quieter. There were still ships fighting the metallic gremlins, but there were not many of them. Except for the few ships left here, the rest of the ships were already far away. Star Union's warships were not even visible at all. It was clear that everyone was retreating to avoid Gigacracker's offensive. There's no one here. Even though I searched the area, I couldn't find any sign of him. While I crashed into the boat and was pushed away, he escaped on another boat. It's probably hiding somewhere among the ships rushing away in the distance. Should I chase after him? Akira is the CEO of Megacorp. No matter how vicious and selfish the Megacorp humans are, it is not easy to fire an ion cannon where the top leader of the force is. The problem is if another ranker sent it. It is presumed that there are other rankers in Megacorp besides Akira. First of all, there are two strong candidates, the head of the Carmelda family and a researcher from the Prime Capital Zhao family. What if they prioritize killing me over the life of the CEO? I will die chasing Akira. You have to get out of here. In this battle, I exposed a lot of my cards. If I were to face them again, it would be a much more difficult fight than it is now. However, chasing after him when 5 gigacrackers have been taken out from the other side is too risky. Open corner bracket big baby. At that time, number 26 approached me. As if he had realized that the battle was coming to an end, his body had returned to its pink jellyfish-like appearance. The animal was gently holding its injured right head, with the fin it used as a leg. You worked hard. When number 26 let go, the clone approached him, bleeding profusely, and bowed his head. Open corner bracket it looks like it hurts a lot. Zuzuzu, it's okay. It'll get better soon. Open corner bracket really? Yes. It was split thanks to the Hydra split, but this alter ego is no different from my original body part. I lightly touched the clone's head and immediately retrieved it. Aki, was that porridge? Isabel, who was buried in the fin along with her clone, stuck out her head. I answered his question by shaking my head. Zuzuzuzu, he ran away. Open corner bracket you missed it. Could it be because of a special device or pipe? He also found Akira's empty shell floating in space. Since he saw that the inside was empty, he must have guessed what was going on. Sorry, I'll explain later. The attack of the 5 gigacrackers will begin soon. Open corner bracket what? Zuzu, number 26. Instead of explaining, I called number 26. Zuzu, I'm leaving here. Call the kids. Open corner bracket yes. A strand of silver tentacle protruded from the body of the tangled tentacle. As the tentacles began to glow, the metallic gremlins scattered everywhere began to gather. Among them was Warp Boy, a small silver demon with blue patterns on his body. I need their help to get out of here safely. Tell me to send them to different places, not the same place all at once. Open corner bracket why? Glitters are weak when they are alone. I know that too. Because metallic gremlins become stronger when there are a lot of them. However, there is a reason why they are asked to separate and move it. You're trying to avoid tracking. Isabel, who immediately realized my intention, sent a thought wave. Every faster than light voyage leaves behind residual energy. The higher the amount of energy generated during navigation, the longer the maintenance time is. And if you have equipment like a warp finder, you can track where a specific opponent jumped until the remaining energy is lost. Even if we leave this place together, the enemies and gigacrackers will continue to pursue us. That's the only way to get rid of them. If you divide the group based on warp boys and send them on a super light voyage to different locations, several traces will be left behind. Here, rather than directly sailing at faster than light speeds, I plan to use the warp boy's ability to blend in with the leaping group. If the enemy has recorded my energy signal, it is possible for them to follow me with the warp finder when I attempt to travel at faster than light speeds. To prevent this, I'm asking Warp Boy to move me. I don't know exactly where I ran away, but there are several traces. They also have no choice but to worry about tracking them. Since I know the danger, it is not easy to split up my troops to pursue them. If you do that for no reason, you could be destroyed individually. And while the enemies hesitate, the metallic gremlins and I can continue to attempt faster than light sailing to escape. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, I won't fight this time. Open corner bracket, you won't fight with bad guys. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, yes, so they won't get hurt. In fact, if the enemy chose to split up their forces and pursue them, they would have no choice but to fight, but that was not mentioned. Okay, I'll ask the glitters to move us. Yes. No 26's silver tentacles sparkled again. The warp boys saw this and prepared for faster than light sailing. As the blue tattoo on the silver background gave off a soft light, the bodies of the metallic gremlins gathered here and there, including me, also turned blue. Zuzuzu, both come here. In case there was a problem while moving, I put Isabel and number 26 in my mouth. When the blue light almost completely enveloped my body, I felt a very strong energy response from far away. Energy generated at a distance so far that even my enhanced auxiliary organs cannot detect it is approaching at a very fast speed. This is a heat ray launched by Gigacracker. Just before the enormous heat hit my body, the energy response disappeared in an instant. Instead, what I felt was a familiar pressure. After a while, the pressure pressing down on my whole body disappeared. There were no giant turquoise heat rays or broken pieces of metal around. The only people in the dark space were me, the kids, and a few metallic gremlins. I succeeded. Just before being directly hit by the heat ray, escape through faster than light sailing was successful. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzu, can you tell me to move it one more time? I asked number 26 to have the warp boy who came with me use faster than light navigation again. After that, the voyage was repeated several more times and crossed several star systems. Even when the symbol of hunting applied to my body ended, there were no people pursuing us. It's over. A large-scale battle involving Megacorp, Star Union, and Dominant and returned rankers. It finally came to an end. A pure white and clean room as if it were carved from marble. At the center of the pathologically clean-looking space was a cylindrical tank with one side made of transparent glass. The tank is a rare facility installed only on some of Megacorp's ships. And now Megacorp's CEO Akira Eugen is in it. Kuso. Shit. As the tank filled with liquid, Akira barely suppressed his anger. Anakuso Mofu Yuru. Damn amorph guy. Amov, the vicious fifth ranker who harassed him several times in the game. He did everything he could to catch the guy. He captured the fourth rank that was in a hostile relationship, and borrowed various weapons and troops from other rankers of the ruling faction. If it were a game, he prepared so thoroughly that he would have won. But the results were disastrous. He lost most of his troops and weapons, and almost all of his privileges were exposed. He got away with it, and now he's wasting his time in this fucking tank. Well, Boo, is there anything that makes you uncomfortable? A man's voice was heard through my slowly regenerating ears. Akira looked out of the tank with one newly formed eye. There was a man holding a captain's hat in his hand. I am the captain of this ship. Thanks to his quick rescue efforts, Akira was able to enter the tank safely. What happened to the target of the subjugation? Akira communicated with the captain through a chip connected to his head. The captain glanced at the monitor outside the tank and answered hesitantly. Well, since Gigacracker fired the ion cannon, he probably didn't die. You idiot. Akira, angry at his subordinate's stupid remark, hit the glass wall of the tank hard. It's not for nothing that he didn't use a super weapon to capture Imorph. If there is a super weapon, it is difficult to freely operate troops on the battlefield. This is because if you are not careful, you may be caught in the attack of a super weapon. Imorph is a guy who is good at using his opponent's weapons against his enemy. Disguise it as if it died after being attacked by a super weapon, or steal it and use it to attack this side, etc. Even in games, there are more than 1 or 2 times when I brought a super weapon to fight against a guy and ended up getting the reverse. Knowing that, we only used super weapons to a very limited extent during this subjugation operation. The search is currently in progress. Joe, just wait a little longer and the search party will bring the results the CEO wants. It doesn't matter if it's a very small trace. Take anything with you, whether it's biological tissue or a piece of metal. If you have attempted faster than light navigation, record all remaining energy. I understand. The captain hurriedly bowed his head at the stern command of his enraged master. Open corner bracket. And did you find out who called Giga Cracker? Well, the investigation is also underway. It looks like someone involved in the operation has requested assistance, so it will be confirmed soon. Although he didn't like any of the captain's words, Akira suppressed his anger. Normally, I would have torn it to death with my bare hands, but I can't do that now. He is currently in a weakened state that requires absolute rest in a special solution in a tank. Going out of the tank and trying to kill the captain will only delay the reconstruction of the body. Go away. Yes. The captain, reading Akira's discomfort, hurriedly left the room. In the quiet tank, Akira thought about the person who called Gigacracker. I said I wouldn't use any super weapons other than Alpha Boy. However, someone disobeyed his orders and secretly sent a rescue request to Gigacracker. And that was at a time when Akira's defeat was deepening. If it weren't for this ship, Akira would have been killed by the ion cannon. Are you really trying to kill me? Did another ranker try to take advantage of his weakened position? If that is true, there is a need for an immediate purge immediately after returning. I don't need them anymore anyway. To catch a morph, you need more perks, so it's better here. At that time, I heard the door opening. A researcher wearing a white coat approached the tank. Adjustment is unnecessary, so go away. This tank was designed by Akira. He knows best, so he doesn't need anyone else's coordination. The researcher did not leave despite Akira's order to congratulate the guests. He was looking at the tank with an unknown smile. Is it because my body has changed? Or is it because it's been a while since we last met? Don't you remember me? What? A researcher who speaks as if he knows him well. Akira was startled by that eerily familiar tone of voice. Kusotora. When you're embarrassed, Japanese still comes out first. That's amazing. I'm not good at Korean, but my memory is good. The identity of the researcher was someone Akira knew well. Shin Bom-ho, the leader of the returning faction and a strong man ranked 7th. He now came to Akira with an unfamiliar face and a body of an unfamiliar species. A word from the author's review. In the previous fine ranker 4 I added a scene where he removes the MPS-05 that he kept in his mouth before turning into a clever weakling. See the next episode. C401. In a tank filled with a specially treated chemical solution, Akira glared at his archenemy whom he had not seen in a long time. The last time I met Bom-ho was already decades ago. The other person was very different from what he remembered. It's not just that they've gotten older, but the race itself has changed. This is because the young cult man is now a middle-aged researcher. However, Akira quickly accepted his changes. Considering the perks that Bom-ho had, it wasn't particularly surprising. Why are you here? Could it be that you were targeting a morph too? As far as he knew, Bom-ho was the ranker who targeted a mob the hardest in the game. In the community, there were many people who saw Bom-ho and a morph as destined rivals. It is a meaningless assumption because it is unlikely, but if Bom-ho and Akira had cooperated in this operation, they would have been able to kill Amov. However, Bom-ho's answer was different from Akira's expectations. The Empress thought so too, but she was wrong. I'm not here because of Imov. It's to prevent you and him from fighting. What? To be exact, that guy shouldn't die yet. When Akira heard those words, a memory came to mind. The plan I heard from him in the past, before my relationship with Bom-ho fell out. Foolish. That plan is impossible. Nothing is impossible before human will. It's absurd to say such a thing from your own mouth. I'm disappointed that you're reacting like this when you saved my life in such a difficult way. If Gigacracker hadn't come here, you would have been killed by him, right? Hearing Bom-ho's words, Akira clenched his teeth that had just begun to grow. The person who called Gigacracker was not a traitor, but Bom-ho. Of course, this does not mean that there are no traitors within the ruling faction. I don't know when Bom-ho infiltrated Megacorp, but there was definitely someone who helped him. To find out, you have to catch that man outside the tank. Is that the end of what you have to say? Akira has a secret weapon that he can use even when his body is weakened like it is now. The conditions for use were strict, so I couldn't use it when fighting Imorph, but not now. With this ability, it is also possible to capture a tiger. Deciding to overpower his opponent, he increased his power and the liquid in the tank began to shake. The plan went awry because of you. You have to pay the price. It's so messed up. Even in games, I lost every time. You can't win against that guy. Akira paused when he saw the other person's still calm appearance. Akira is well aware of Byungho's abilities as they have worked together in the past. This also applies to tigers. There's no way he doesn't know how difficult Akira is. However, the reason he shows this attitude is obviously because he is confident. Do you think I can't kill you? Well, you could tear me to death even in that condition. Are you provoking me even though you know that? In front of the shaking tank, Byungho calmly raised his arms. His hand touched the glass wall of the tank. You always have that problem. Do you know why you can't beat him? Open corner bracket what? You have a lot of things, but your imagination is so poor. As soon as those words were finished, Byungho's eyes began to glow purple. The purple light that was in his eyes slowly moved down his face and onto his shoulders as if he had an ego. Akira was shocked, knowing what that meant. Purea Namotakirudado. You can do this to players too. Kusotora. You fooled me. Quote. Akira saw the light that had passed through his arm and reached his hand seeping into the glass wall, so he urgently activated his ability. The target is not the tiger, but yourself. The liquid surrounding his body froze as if it had been rapidly cooled. The monitor connected to the tank and the lights illuminating the room blinked uneasily. But the purple light was slightly faster than that. The light reached Akira's body before the liquid completely solidified. Then a purple line appeared between Akira and Byungho. Is it environmental change and the formation of a stationary field? It's been a while since I last saw you. Byungho withdrew his hand as he looked at the tank, which was greatly damaged by the hardened liquid. It will take some time to settle in, but I expected this. I've prepared everything, so it'll be okay. Since the ability has been applied, Akira's body is no different from being in his hands. Byungho smiled as he saw the thread becoming transparent. Don't worry, I will leave when the time comes. When the thread completely disappeared, Byungho's body collapsed onto the white floor like a doll whose thread had been cut. A few minutes later, he woke up again. The head. He was rubbing his temples and groaning, and he looked somewhat dazed compared to before he collapsed. He slowly got up from his seat and looked at the tank in front of him. Why am I here? His complexion, which was looking at the tank with a blank expression, instantly turned white. He reached for the monitor in an urgent manner. Why did this suddenly become like this? Who would do something like this? Damn it. After seeing the monitor that was not working, he hurried out of the room. A white room filled with silence. A purple light flashed and disappeared inside the damaged tank in the room. Zuzuzu, there is no enemy chasing you, right? Open corner bracket yes. Bad metal won't follow you. Number 26 answered my question by waving its silver tentacles. I checked it last because the enemy could follow me even if it's too late. Fortunately, the enemy did not send a pursuit party, perhaps thinking of targeting Dom. It's been about an hour, so let's move on. The effects of the contaminated genes consumed by eating Akira's subordinates have long since ended. Thanks to this, recovery characteristics return to normal. I'm worried about Adai too. Seeing that the symbiotic spores planted in it are still alive, it is clear that it is alive. However, it is difficult to determine exactly what state it is in because the distance is too far. Wait a minute, before I go. There is something I need to check. I looked down at Akira's head, which he was holding in his small arms against his chest. It was fine until an hour ago, but now it wasn't that good. It was noticeable that the hard-growing head carapace, resembling Imorphs, had become mushy. Zuzu, you said there are no contaminated genes, right? Open corner bracket yes. From what I can see, yes. Isabel, who received the request, said that she had checked with Manjang's Xiaonan several times, but that no contaminated genes were found. The abnormal rate of decomposition of the head seems to be Akira's special feature, that is, a characteristic of the fake body itself. After all, I have to eat before it's too late. Originally, I planned to wait until I could use the symbol of hunting. However, the condition of my head is rapidly deteriorating. You have to eat it before it gets damaged further. There is no guarantee that you can obtain the genetic essence anyway. What I'm holding is not Akira's real body, but just a part of his fake body. The predation effect may not be effective when consumed. It would be really disappointing if there was no compensation. I threw Akira's head into my mouth, hoping to get something. When the teeth collided with the hard carapace, a short, strong cracking sound was heard, like chewing candy. The contents inside flowed down my tongue and down my throat. And the sweet and intense aroma, as if chocolate, caramel, and butter melted together in a hot frying pan, spread throughout my mouth. Well, it definitely tastes good. Just when I was trying to savor the taste and aroma that spread in an instant. A translucent text box suddenly appeared in front of me. Predation effect activated. Successfully acquired the Hiveformer genetic essence. Open corner bracket takeover. Hiveformer. Among the biological characteristics of Akira Eugene. Open corner bracket. Do you want to apply Hiveformer? I almost screamed when I checked the contents of the text box. Hiveformer. Hiveformer is a general trait related to nests, and is a very good trait for races that can set up nests. It is evaluated as a semi-essential trait for outspacers who are highly dependent on the nest. However, this characteristic is very difficult to obtain. This is because creatures with the characteristic are very rare. I thought we'd only see this when we attacked the solar system. I never expected that I would get it through Akira's head here. Big baby, smile. I guess it feels good because it's delicious. I think it's for a reason other than the taste. Next to me, number 26 and Isabel look at me and talk. I guess I was smiling and showing my teeth without realizing it. I tried to calm my heart and looked at the text box again. The predation effect only appeared once, but this is a pretty good result. Hiveformer itself is a good trait, but what's even better is that this trait is one of the materials needed to create a unique trait. Open corner bracket. Transcendence. Material list. Demon machine, Tyrantroid, Destroyer carapace, Ether core, not obtained, Hiveformer, not obtained. The only trait that requires traits that can be obtained from apex creatures. There are currently 2 ingredients left here. Once you obtain the Hiveformer, all that is left is the Ether core. Let's apply it first. I accepted the text box's request. The special genetic essence that comes from outside spreads throughout the body. The carapace that protects my organs, bones, muscles, and flesh begins to crack. Eventually, the muscle fibers inside protruded outward through the cracks in the broken carapace and torn off scales. What looked like fur at first grew longer and longer as they became entangled with each other. The same thing happened all over the body except for the arms, legs, torso, head, neck, and wings. In a human being, it was as if all the muscles below the shoulders had torn the flesh, but there was no particular pain. The muscle fibers that protruded from the outside gradually became larger and longer, taking on a shape similar to tentacles. Just like what number 26 showed when fighting the fleet, large and small tentacles grew all over its body. Are you okay? I've seen a morph with the Hiveformer applied many times in games, but this is the first time I've seen it in real life. I quite liked the huge body covered with a bunch of small tentacles resembling plant stems, as it resembled the plant monsters I had seen in monster movies before. And, while inspecting the body with the new characteristics applied, I felt a short, intense wave next to me. It was a wave sent by number 26 upon seeing me who had completed my transformation. Pretty, pretty. The guy kept circling around me, letting out waves of admiration. I seemed to really like the sight of myself with a bundle of tentacles wrapped around my body. Open corner bracket big baby is pretty. Zuzuzu, thank you. Open corner bracket that, yes, is pretty. I guess it's strange. I'm glad that not only I like it, but also number 26. It took out its pink fin and tapped my tentacle. My eldest baby is different from me, but we are similar. So I like it. Really? Yes. It's so soft and pretty. It's just as he said. The pile of tentacles on my body has a different purpose and appearance from the sea demon's tentacles. Unlike the sea demon's tentacles, which have saw blades on the inside, this one doesn't have those at all. Finely split carapace covers the surface, making it superficially similar to the body of a snake or a plant stem. And my pile of tentacles can't express complex emotions like number 26 can. Since the muscle fibers are tentacles, detailed control like when moving other body parts is not possible. Because the purpose was different in the first place. These tentacles created by Hiveformers can do more than you can imagine. There is no need to be disappointed if you cannot use it for offense. Anyway, the transformation was completed with this. I spread my folded wings again. Zuzu, should we go back now? Open corner bracket yes. Open corner bracket COA. If you look at me, I'll faint. Adai. Mother of Heaven. PS 111. Everyone is waiting for me. It's time to return to the dragon's lair. Watch next episode. C402. After returning to the star system where Galligan's nest is located, I headed straight to Gigacracker. A huge spaceship moving along the orbit of a pure white planet reacted immediately as I approached. The large gate connected to the mineral storage facility was wide open. When I went inside, I noticed a huge mountain crawler the size of a hill among the piled up minerals. Open corner bracket hello, Ddandon. Open corner bracket Gavu. After hearing No 26's greeting, mountain crawler closed his 4 eyes and fell asleep again. Where did COA go? As Isabel said, the owner was nowhere to be seen. The treatment would have been over long ago, right? At that time, a mini screamer crawled by. A thing with the head of a human woman and long, thin metal legs stood still and looked up at me. It's MPS-03, right? Hit. Hit. I imitated the voice with its mimicry organ and asked, and MPS-03 twitched its metal leg. Where is everyone? Nest. Little baby. Treatment. Therapy. In Galligan's lair. Not a screamer support ship. Nest. No cure. The moment I heard that treatment was not possible, my heart sank. Something is wrong. I'll go down and come back. Open corner bracket big baby, I want to go too. Wait a minute. Let's go together. I quickly opened the storage gate and came out. 26 and Isabel followed me. With PS 111's skills, eliminating APNC is no problem. He can design and manufacture Screamer himself, which is the essence of genetic engineering. Isabel, the MPS series are all his works. The probability that a technician with such outstanding skills will fail to remove a bullet is low. It's clear that Akira did something to APNC. He planted a trap on his subordinate's body to catch me. I also suffered during the battle because of that. If Adai was hit by a specially treated bullet, it would be difficult to recover using normal methods. In my case, because I had excellent physical ability, I was able to survive even if I fell into his trap. On the other hand, Adai is weak, so he will be able to endure it for a much shorter time than me. No, I don't know yet. My thoughts keep flowing negatively. No matter how serious the situation is, you must remain calm. Instead of thinking about useless things, I just focused on getting down to the nest. I could feel the cold atmosphere of the frozen star above my carapace and bundle of tentacles. A white land spread beyond the natural barrier of ice and wind. On one side, you can see the entrance leading to the basement. As I went down through the hole, a huge underground world appeared before me. There is a Screamer support ship stuck in the ice below, rising like a tower. Normally I would have stopped by there first, but not this time. I flew at full speed towards the dragon's nest. Thanks to focusing all my attention on flying, I soon arrived at the valley where Galligan's nest was located. Open corner bracket companion of the great Adai. Belmarg, a white male Galagon Shah, sensed my visit and came out to meet me. Zuzuzu, where is he? Open corner bracket this way. Following his guidance, I crawled deep into the cave created in the cliff. After a while, I arrived at a cavity that was about 4 times the size of my body. There were pieces of colorful, shiny minerals scattered on the floor, and dried vines and moss on the ceiling. As this Adai's room, looking at the scenery like a child's secret base, it really looked like a guy. However, there was a strange feeling that was difficult to explain in words. Would you say it feels like something invisible is clinging to me and sucking my energy out? After entering the space, an unknown feeling of helplessness enveloped my entire body. Are you here? Amorph, you're safe. As I was thinking about my unreasonable discomfort, I felt a familiar voice and a thought wave. PS 111, the mother of the sky who took the form of a thunderbird and had various surgical tools on her arms, welcomed me. Sister. Open corner bracket hello middle child. Hello friend. Isabel and number 26, who returned alive from a life-threatening battle, also expressed their joy at seeing them. Neither of them were injured. After checking with auxiliary agencies, both showed no signs of serious injury. It's fortunate that the two are okay, but Adai is missing. What about Adai? In response to my question, PS 111 extended his finger and pointed toward the middle of the cavity. There, a large ruby gemstone measuring 10 meters in height was stuck in the ground. I got closer to the ruby-like mineral. When I looked closely, there was a long white object inside. Judging from its small size and uniquely beautiful physique, it was undoubtedly Adai. How did this happen? I don't understand why Adai, who needs treatment, is inside the ruby. At that time, Heavenly Mother sent me a thought wave. That's not ruby. However, it is not like a mineral. That substance is the result of crystallization of the energy body released by little baby during treatment. What? From arrival to treatment, everything went according to Amav's plan. When I expressed my doubt, PS111 began to explain. Middle baby succeeded in activating the limited ability to modify genetic models. Through this, we were able to continuously inject healing fluid into the little baby, lowering the probability of surgery failure by 16%. In fact, PS111 succeeded in neutralizing most of the APNC in Adaj's body. Was there a problem with the APNC? No. There were no special features other than changing the shape of the bullet to increase penetration. The problem arose after the treatment was over. The psychic power in Adai's body continued to decrease. Psychic power. Absorbing the psychic power of the target it hits is a characteristic of APNC. If the bullet is neutralized, it is true that the psychic power that was consumed is regenerated. The psychic power is being lost within the little baby's body and a new energy body is being created. The substance that currently protects the little baby was formed when the energy body overgenerated during this process was crystallized and released to the outside. I looked at Adai, who was sleeping inside a rock that resembled a ruby. That color, like wine made from the blazing sun, was very similar to the red glow that appears when the guy wears red armor. Do not touch. I stretched out my wings and arms, wondering what would happen if I touched them, but Heavenly Mother stopped me. Why? After Adai is in that state, he is continuously absorbing all the energy. If you touch it directly here. At that time, a new visitor entered the joint. It was Ham Ort, a Galagon with beautiful scales that looked like they were carved from obsidian. She looked at me and lowered her head slightly. Open corner bracket Adai's companion, open corner bracket welcome, open corner bracket I want it, open corner bracket now, open corner bracket it's difficult. Zuzuzu, it's okay. She must have been out hunting, or she was holding on to a large corpse with her front paws. It was a gigantarium that a group of Galagons had hunted before. Why did you bring the body? She dragged the corpse and placed it on the crystal containing Adai. Then something bizarre happened. The corpse was rapidly dried and distorted, as if Galagons were sucking the body fluids of their prey. After a few seconds, only bony bones and skin remained around Adai. All the energy is absorbed like that. The material that protects the little baby requires a continuous supply of energy. If energy is not supplied as it is now, all energy existing around us is robbed. That's why Ham Ort and the other Galagons keep bringing us food. Now that I think about it, I wondered why I felt helpless when I came here, and this was the cause. Just by getting close to Adai, your energy is being sucked out. Will this guy's life be in danger? The surgery was completed successfully. As long as an energy source exists, the probability that something will go wrong with the little one's life is currently calculated to be 11%. Isabel, who had received my request, looked at Adai with her heavenly eyes. It is currently said to be in a dormant state. As you said, I don't think there will be any particular problems now that the energy is supplied. The Screamer sisters came to the same conclusion. First of all, it is fortunate that Adai escaped the danger of his life, but it is too early to feel at ease. As far as I know, there is no technique that uses dragon power to absorb it in that way. His current state should be considered an unknown state that has not been seen in the game. No, wait, requiring a large amount of energy, being in a forced dormant state, and protecting one's body by secreting special substances. These are all elements that we have seen a lot somewhere. When I evolve, now that I think about it, there is something Adai told me when he first gained the power of Red Galagon. I'm sorry I failed. As he was growing up, he felt strange and gave up on becoming Red Galagon. When I heard that, I thought it was because she wanted to remain by my side rather than become the Queen of Galagon. Now that I think about it, I may have given up my power because I was worried about the current situation. At that time, we were facing a fight against a powerful enemy called Odgrad. If he hadn't participated in the battle, I wouldn't be where I am today. Adai's condition. Maybe we are preparing for evolution. Evolution. Ah. Heavenly Mother heard me and opened her pumpkin-colored eyes wide. This is an interesting opinion, but we believe it differs from previously recorded growth processes. No, something else might be right. If you think about the being that is trying to become Adai now, it is normal for it to be different from before. Because this is the first time he has challenged the full Red Galagon. Red Galagon. It's a Galagon that has fully grown. He is the most superior of all Galagons. PS-111 nodded as if he was interested in hearing about the existence of red Galagon for the first time. Similar to imorph, if mutations occur at the genetic level, it is advantageous to have means to protect the body. In fact, the substances secreted by small babies are suitable for minimizing the risks that occur during the mutation process. Okay. But this won't be everything. If red Galagon could be made by simply supplying energy, it wouldn't be this rare. It's just as she said. It is too easy to simply go inside the red crystal and absorb the energy. There are definitely other conditions. This is a very difficult condition to achieve for an ordinary Galagon. Then Isabel joined the conversation. I heard about red Galagon from Sister Penelope before. From Penelope. Yes. Galagons tend to believe that they are descendants of star power. There is definitely a trend like that just looking at Oddeye. When using dragon power or when I wielded strong power, he described it as star power. Then how can you become the most superior Galagon? I thought it would be like eating a shining star. Eating a star is physically impossible. PS-111 denied it, but something came to mind the moment I heard the expression, eating stars. Heaven's mother met my gaze as if she had similar thoughts. Obviously, eating that being is close to impossible. It will be difficult even if there are dozens of black Galagons. If you can't eat the star directly, you can eat a creature that swallows the star's energy instead. And I know what exists that meets those conditions. Arcane orca. The highest apex creature that lives by feasting on the energy of stars and the owner of the ether core trait. This guy is a sacrifice for red Galagon's growth. Watch next episode. C403. Apex refers to creatures that are at the top of the space survival ecosystem. Although it varies from case to case, they usually have excellent combat power. And even within the Apex, there is a hierarchy. Apex's highest ranking creatures possess such terrifying power that they can be said to have transcended the laws of nature. Among all the entities in the game, Red Galagon is the only one that can use dragon power. Vortex 1 has the power to defy the laws of physics and change reality, etc. They are powerful enemies that require multiple players to join forces to fight them. Likewise, Arcane Orca is a creature with very strong power. Like its close relatives, Skywhale and Starshark, it has specialized abilities in energy manipulation. Of course, you shouldn't think of it at the level of Skywhale. It is a creature as dangerous as the Vortex 1. It is much stronger than the incomplete Ring of Anguish that was fought before. Arcane Orcarany. It won't be easy. The Mother of Heaven let out a wave of thoughtful thoughts. I guess he reacted that way because he was well aware of Arcane Orca's notoriety. It has to be that way. One of the difficulties in conquering Arcane Orca is finding it itself. Since it relies on the energy of stars, it rarely approaches planets. And rather than settling down in one star system, it constantly wanders around looking for new food. In fact, the entire universe can be seen as a stage for its activities. That's why it's so hard to find. However, if you say that it is easy to fight once you find it, that is not true. It's at least twice as strong as the incomplete Vortex 1 I fought here. Let's skip the fighting issue for now. Time is more important now. We don't know how long Oddeye will remain like that. It would be nice if he returned to normal along the way, but that may not be the case. Moreover, it is currently sucking up all the energy around it. This is the nest where a group of Galagons stay. Many young Galagons and eggs survive on energy leaking from the ground and minerals. If the hunt continues, everyone will starve to death. I looked at Ham Ort. Black Galagon, who brought food for his daughter, did not take his eyes off the red crystal. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, how are the chicks? Aren't they starving? Bird's nest. Food. Abundant. Everyone. Full. Zoo, really. But, great Oddhay. More. A lot. Eat. Food. Power of the stars. Exhaustion. Dangerous. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, how long do you think you can last? Star of Fire. Twice open corner bracket until you see it. On this planet, daylight comes very briefly, once every 30 days. It is said that you can hold out until the fire star, that is, the fixed star, is visible twice, so I guess there is a grace period of about 60 days. It's breathtaking. Just finding a star system where Arcane Orca might be located consumes quite a bit of time. Even if you start preparing right away, time is running out. If there are variables that I didn't expect along the way, even that will decrease further. For a moment, when I thought about variables, something suddenly occurred to me. Number 26, who recently gained enormous psychic power. There is still a lot of energy left in its body. I called number 26, which emits a dark light and expresses sadness. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu, would you please take care of the baby galagons here? Open corner bracket little flutter. Yes. Zuz, zuzuzu, zuzuzu, zuzuzuzu, I'll be able to endure more because I have this person. Open corner bracket thank you. If number 26 supplies energy to the Galagon group, we can buy additional time. Next, I asked Isabel to stay here as well. This is because if he has a special eye, he will know right away if there is a problem with Odd Eye and the blue Galagons. Okay. If there is any problem, I will contact you. Thank you. I've done everything I could here. There is no time, so we must start preparing to hunt arcane orca right away. Let's go back to Gigacracker. Before leaving the room, I took one last look at Odd Eye sleeping in the red crystal. I made a promise while looking at Sujung, which did not move from beginning to end. He says no matter what happens, Odd Eye will definitely be taken out. Please be patient just a little longer until then. With that in mind, I left the nest with the kids. After returning to Gigacracker, PS111 went straight to the situation room. Since there is little information about arcane orca, this is to check the data stored in the ship's computer. I decided to talk with Heavenly Mother about where he might be. First of all, I think you and I have some idea about arcane orca. I've been caught a few times because of the equipment. The arcane orca's body is used to make very powerful equipment and super weapons. So the very large clans would periodically organize search parties to track him down. As I recall, after the clan was disbanded, she worked as a mercenary in another clan's search party. There will also be information and know-how gained while working with them. I'll be honest. The way I track is not suitable for this situation. I also tracked down and killed an arcane orca, but I didn't hunt it in a very efficient manner. There were two main strategies I mainly used. You can either wander around checking the state of the star yourself, or secretly follow the clan tracking the arcane orca. Considering the current situation, the former is not possible because it would take a long time, and the latter is not possible because it is unclear whether there is a tracking team. So this time I need her help. Well, if I choose your method. It seems like it will take more time just to prepare. She also understood what I was trying to say and nodded her head. There is information that is not well known. She continued, scratching her beak with the claws at the end of her wings. Usually, when you track arcane orca, you usually look at traces left on stars, right? Yes. It's common to see the electromagnetic waves it leaves behind as it absorbs stellar energy. There was a player in the tracking team I participated in who tried an unusual investigation method. We investigated not the star, but the planets influenced by that star. Planet. Open corner bracket. There are cases where primitive civilizations or colonial NPCs on a planet leave records of abnormal phenomena that occur on a star. Investigating the NPCs on the planet. This is my first time hearing this information. Open corner bracket. In primitive civilizations, it remained in the form of a tale, and in colonies, it remained in the form of an observation journal. A tale and an observation journal. Among these, I heard that observation logs are sometimes collected by trade players. This is because abnormal star activity can cause damage to trading ships. At that time, the tracking team collected all the stories and observation logs of places where arcane orca might appear. And we selected only the relevant ones and predicted the target's movement path. Is that possible? I did it and it worked. But how did that fact not become known? The tracking clan that first tried it soon collapsed due to infighting, and the clan members also quit the game. I haven't seen anyone try this method since then. Thanks to this, I don't know whether to be sad or glad that the information didn't spread. Then we should start by checking the routes in the game. PS111 and I will handle that part. If it's him, it will take a few days to check. Please do me a favor. Don't expect too much. If it is different from what I know, the investigation time will be longer. If we need to investigate a planet, I will go. It's better for me to go than that. Glowing amber eyes were fixed on my pile of tentacles. He had been restless because of Odd Eye's work, but now he seemed to have recognized my changed appearance. Where did you get the hiveformer? I got it while fighting Akira. My heart sank when I saw those tentacles in the game, but I see them here too. I've seen them before. We even set up an advanced base on the planet to catch arcane orca, but you came and ruined it. Don't you remember? Oh, when she said that, I remembered. There was a time when I was secretly following the punitive force, and upon seeing them descend on the planet, I immediately prepared a terrorist attack. Now that I see it, she must have been in that punitive force too. The first time I saw a dead human being consumed by a hive former, I almost felt really traumatized. Well, it changed in a bit of a strange way. To be honest, this is worse than having you skinned and hung. She felt disgusted, as if an unpleasant memory had come to mind. Seeing the feathers on its body stand up stiffly, it seemed like it really hated it. It's not that bad. I admit that it's a bit disgusting, but I didn't expect to hate it this much. I'll go down alone when I investigate the planet. She glared at me with narrowed eyes and sighed softly. I'll have to work hard to make sure you don't end up on the planet. The story about tracking the arcane orca ended with her grumbling and sad speech. Heavenly Mother left for the situation room where PS-111 was located, and I was left alone in the storage room. Originally I was thinking of checking the text box. This is because, in addition to the hiveformer, there was quite a bit of income gained through battle. However, perhaps because it was my first rest after an intense battle, I felt very tired. Without realizing it, I fell face down on the hard metal floor and laid my head down. It's not urgent, so let's wake up and take a look at this. I fell into a deep sleep as if I had lost my mind, with the vibrations of the engine sounding softly along the floor. Watch next episode. C404. The sleeping consciousness gradually awakens. The light of the red light installed on the ceiling of the storage compartment, the regular sound of the engine and the sound of breathing on both sides of my head. Among the subtle stimuli that existed before I fell asleep, small and heterogeneous ones were mixed together. What woke me up was the sound of something heavy stepping on a metal floor. Who is it? I opened my eyes to check for the intruder. The first thing I saw was MCAE, multi-purpose construction auxiliary equipment, which resembled the construction machinery that appears in classic science fiction strategy games. It seemed like they were moving minerals, as they were carrying large chunks of minerals on the thick mechanical arms. In front of him stood two beings wearing spacesuits that covered their entire bodies. When they saw me open my eyes, they quickly bowed down. They are coldbloods. It seems they came to transport food for the mountain crawlers. The coldbloods who politely bowed to me left the storage compartment with MCAE. I woke up. I close my eyes, but there is no sign of sleep. I feel refreshed, so I guess I should just get up now. I lie down and activate the semi-transparent text box. Due to this battle, many changes were made to the text box. This is because, in addition to handing over the revenant organ to the Heavenly Mother, it also preyed on and fused various characteristics during the battle. Well, there wasn't anything that I thought was extremely useful. I also gained a few useful characteristics, such as hiveformer. It's a disturbance needle. It's been a while since this happened. Disturbance is a body-related fusion characteristic that can be created by feasting on cyborgs and metallic gremlins. When this property is applied, saliva is created in the body that can be emitted by imitating the electronic signals emitted by the ship. One of the heating spikes on my back has been changed to one for the disturbing needle trait. If you have a jamming needle, you can spy on the communications of ships nearby and intervene to confuse the enemy camp by sending distorted communications. That is the reason for the existence of Hangjeongchim. It wasn't a very good trait to begin with. In the game, it was implemented to make enemy ships disobey player commands with a probability. It was difficult to use it in practice because success and failure depended on probability. There are many good features such as hijacking and radiation disruption, but there was no need to use them. The good news is that the penalty has disappeared as we move to reality. As long as you get close to the ship, you can eavesdrop on or disrupt communications going to and from that ship. If I had gotten it earlier, I would have put it to good use. There is no particular need at this point. This is because neutralizing enemy communications is fully possible with the abilities of Messenger of Chaos, or No. 26. Additionally, since the hijacking characteristic has been secured during battle, there is less reason to use the disruption needle. Instead, I have a friend who will use this more usefully than me. PS-111, dedicated to hacking among us. I'm thinking of handing over the interference needle to this guy. Originally, I was thinking about hijacking or radio interference. But after thinking about it again, I think this would be better. The ability to operate machines doesn't have much of an advantage for him. PS-111 is still capable of breaching all security systems if it approaches an enemy line. Rather, the ability to intervene in the enemy's communication network and disrupt communication is more suitable. You can use the stealth maneuver I gave you before to secretly infiltrate the ship and then operate it by preventing it from contacting the outside world. Let's hand over the disturbing needle to him. The next useful characteristic obtained after the disturbing needle is the psychic ability related characteristic, ultra control. Originally, it was a trait that could be obtained by eating deer antler cult, but I was lucky enough to obtain it by feasting on shadows. The effect of ultra control is mind control. This is a trait that allows you to control a specific target for a limited time. Unlike the antler cult, which has no time limit on control, restrictions have been added, but it remains a powerful trait. When infiltrating enemy territory, it is very effective to use a combination of the three: mimetic organ, parasite, and ultra control. Furthermore, ultra control is one of the materials that can be fused with a unique characteristic. I floated the unique characteristic synthesis formula of the transcendental system. Open corner bracket. Transcendence. Ingredient list. Inorganic digestion, Reaper's Maw, Bone Beast, Infernal Vision, Ultra Control. Although it was unlocked early, it is a synthetic formula that was not completed for a long time due to the difficult ingredients required. Since you have gathered all the ingredients, you can fuse whenever you want. I feel like I want to merge right away, but I can't. Harvester's Maw. This is the problem. As may be the case with other characteristics, once the Harvester's Maw is lost, it is not easy to restore it. This is because this trait can only be created if you have the Essence Harvester's Jaw, which can only be obtained from an amorph subadult or a special outspacer. It is close to impossible to obtain a subadult in its natural state. The only possibility is an outspacer, but even this is not easy. Although it has preyed on several outspacers so far, the Essence Harvester's chin has not opened. Either the fourth place intentionally created it without that characteristic, or they didn't send me an entity with the characteristic. The reason is unknown, but it is certain that he did it because he was wary of me. Of course, collecting genetic essence is as important for outspacer as a morph. There is no way to give up the ability to efficiently collect essence. They just didn't send it to deal with me, and there must be an entity dedicated to collecting essence. Only by secretly targeting when it is hunting a rare creature will you be able to snatch the Essence Harvester's Jaw. Even so, it's hard to get it for the time being. If you consume the Reaper's Maw, you lose the ability to obtain genetic essence by consuming enemy heads. If you want to eat the genetic essence of your enemy, you must eat the corpse whole. Instead, you can get unique characteristics, so it's not a complete loss. The unique characteristics obtained through the Transcendence system all had outstanding power. No matter what type of characteristics it will have, the performance itself will be impeccable. This time, I can't guess by looking at the ingredients. There is a mix of properties that change the structure of the body, properties that strengthen the body, and properties that manipulate energy such as psychic power or heat. Unlike before, I have no idea what kind of concept the outcome will be. It's time for a new unique characteristic. Arcane Orca's energy manipulation ability surpasses that of No. 26. And the most powerful weapons I have are all ones that use energy. In front of Arcane Orca, it is virtually useless. You'll have to see the Black Devourer cannon and complex spectral to see for yourself. There is a possibility that even this will not work properly. If that happens, you'll have to rely solely on your physical abilities, and having a new unique trait will be of great help. However, in this case, you have to give up the opportunity to obtain the genetic essence. Because I have to bring the body to Adai. It would be great if the Harvester's Maw effect was inherited as the only trait, but it would still be difficult. I looked at the text box and looked at the number of different cases for a while, but I still couldn't find an answer. There's still more time left to fight Arcane Orca. I don't even know where it is yet, so there's no need to make a decision early. After much deliberation, I withheld my choice. After completing the inspection, I stood up. As I was about to go to the situation room where the kids would be, the door inside the storage room opened. Are you awake? The identity of the visitor was PS-111, the Mother of Heaven, who returned in the form of a griffin beast, carrying a hologram regenerator on her back. We have completed estimating the target's action radius based on the information provided by Middle Baby. Zuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzuzu. Huh, already. Didn't I say it would take a few days? Heavenly Mother tilted her head at my question. Today is the third day since this guy started analyzing. Zuzu, third day. For a moment I thought it was a joke, but the look in her eyes told me it wasn't. I fell asleep for not just 1 day, but 3 days. I guess the mental fatigue from the large-scale battle was greater than I thought. For some reason, I felt refreshed when I woke up. It's worth it since I slept for 3 days. Zuzuzuzuzuzu, wake me up midway. Open corner bracket, it's okay. I deliberately didn't wake you up because you looked tired. I'll show you the completed simulation of the action radius. PS111 placed the hologram player brought from the situation room on the floor and connected it to the wire taken from the body. Then, a map with a blurry image was output from the player. There are a total of 42 places where the arcane orca, an unspecified dangerous creature, is believed to have appeared. Among these, there are 5-star systems where arcane orca is expected to reappear within 60 days. ZPO2, OT20, ZER11 Conflict Zone, U08, and Dar Kisso's binary star system. ZP02. Among the places PS111 mentioned, ZP02 is a place I know. This is where Star Union's huge factories are located. Approximately 10% of Star Union's warships come from ultra-large space factories located in the ZPO2 star system. If arcane orca had appeared there, it would have been subdued long ago. I think we should leave this place out as expected. Even if an arcane orca appears there, it will be difficult for us to catch it. As that's so. Then should we search the remaining 4 places? Surprisingly, there were not many candidates to investigate. Of course, there is no guarantee that traces of arcane orca will be found here. Then PS111 spoke. I recommend 2 of these. JER11 Conflict Area and U08. ZZZUY. Hamilton the Strong said that the number of pirates dealing in rare creatures visiting JER11 has increased over the past 3 months. Who is second Hamilton? He is a pirate infected by Imorph, in Osca 44. Before going to LV06, I received information about the pirates' movements from him. Open corner bracket aha. PS111 looked at me with eyes made of red camera lenses. I felt like he wanted a compliment for some reason, so I stroked his hair with my fingers. Thank you. Zuzuzuz. I understand JER11. Then why did you recommend U08? Open corner bracket that was decided by me. There is a planet inhabited by wolf natives in U08. The Heavenly Mother pointed to a spot on the hologram as if she was familiar with U08. There was a small planet there that had a similar image to the cult's sacred planet I had visited before. I got information about arcane orca from the natives here in the game, so I'm going to check it out. Zuzuzu, I see. I looked down at the result of Mutant Screamer and Griffin Wolf's combined efforts. While I was asleep, the plan progressed quite a bit. I've decided what to do first. Zuzuzu, then let's start from these 2 places. The JER11 Conflict Zone, a lawless area where pirates roam freely, and U08, home to the wolf natives. Those places depicted as holograms are where we must go. Zuzuzu, just a moment before that. I brought my snout closer to PS111, who was disconnecting the wires connected to the hologram generator. The auxiliary organ under the chin gently wrapped around the nape of the guy's neck. Zuzu, I have something to give you. Is it a gift? Perhaps because I had had a transplant before, I noticed it right away. PS111 stroked my accessory organ around my neck with its claws. New gifts are always welcome. After a while, the genetic essence in my body transferred to the new owner's body. A word from the author's review, species. Unidentified hostile space creature. Status. Adult Transcendence Level 2. Goal. Survive, successfully evolve 4 times. Possessed characteristics 13 Body Series, 7 Psychic Series, 5 Infection Series, 10 Special Defense Series, 9 Nest Series, 7 Internal Organ Series, 4 Environmental Adaptation Series, 3 Multidimensional Organisms, 8 Space Monster Series Dog. 1 Body-related type in effect claws, reinforced hind legs, beast carapace, heated spine armor, teeth grip strength, enhanced eyesight, warm skin. Flesh-related fusion characteristics. Regenerative power, mimicry organ, bone beast, reinforced monster wings, insomnia host, harvester's maw, hijacking. 2 superpower-related types being applied, humanity, dragon's heart only, clairvoyance, ultra control. Superpower-related fusion characteristics. Predator sense, monster's tentacles, dark veil. 3 infection-related, applying type, contaminated blood. Infection-related fusion characteristics. Parasitic colony, gremlin moss, acidic fungal gland, corrupt fungal organ. 4 special defense-related. Pain reduction, resistance, disease resistance, complete immunity, mental defense, stealthy maneuver, gamma-ray resistance, illusion of hell. Special defense fusion characteristics. Protective color, refractive shell. 5 nest-related type in effect, expansion enhancement, smog tower, master of the environment, swamp creation, unclean mixture, poison enhancement, hive former. Nest-related fusion characteristics. Symbiotic spores, ghost nest. 6 related to internal organs, type being applied, strengthened endoskeleton, strengthened toxic secretion glands, superior homeostasis, hunger, bioelectric discharge tube. Fusion characteristics related to internal organs. Berserker synapse, ultra jelly. 7 related to environmental adaptation, types being applied, inorganic digestion, Medusa organ only, tyrantroid, warp creature. 8 multidimensional organism. Bioplasma synthesis, colony consciousness terminal. Multidimensional organism related fusion characteristics. Deep space plague. 9 space monster only, complete organism, nightmare horizon, organic evolution, great infector, herald of pandemonium. Complex spectral body, variable bioweapon, black devourer cannon mark of a formidable enemy. Marauders amorphous polyhedron, dice of the void, colors of the abyss, appearance dominator, starlight coordinates, hydra division. Possession type, 6. Physical enhancement type, superpower enhancement type, infection enhancement type, nest enhancement type, internal organ enhancement type, environmental adaptation enhancement type. Specialization possible type, 2. Special defense enhancement type, 9/16, multidimensional creature enhanced type, 3/4. Space monster only, type stage. Stage 2, number of characteristics required to achieve stage 3 and 8/12, reward. Essence rearrangement, double helix monolith. Incomplete characteristics, 7, dog. Gills, giant creature, natural healing, saw blade tentacle, mimicry, catfish's house, demon machine. Token of incomplete strong enemy, 0. Obtained by none. Available system. Unique attribute synthesis, attribute enhancement close corner bracket next episode look. C405. Dash. Today's universe is governed by megacorps, star unions, and cult empires. Numerous intelligent beings spread across various planets lead their lives under the protection of the 3 great powers. However, not everyone welcomed the rule of the great powers. Space Dog, who operates outside the bounds of the law, the Vortex 1 cult, who operates in secret in the shadow of a cult empire, etc. These are all people who have chosen to break away from the existing order. They live in hiding on planets unknown to anyone, or they use ships as their mobile residences to constantly roam the universe. In that respect, the JER-11 conflict zone can be said to be a unique type. This is because AG-01, a planet located within the star system, is pursuing a separation movement against its owner, noble capital TNC. There was a reason why TNC, which had the largest number of colonies in Megacorp, could not organize them quickly. This is because forces that do not like TNC secretly supported AG-01's activities. In particular, it was an open secret that the separatists were supplied with weapons from Star Union. It did not take long for the chaos that started on one planet to engulf the entire star system. That's how the ZER-11 conflict zone was born. As time passed, the problem of the disputed area became worse rather than being resolved. TNC was also neglecting the disputed area issue due to various political reasons. As a result, ZER-11, especially AG-01, the center of the conflict, became a crucible of chaos. Separatist terrorists and cartels instigated by upper capitals waged war every day. When residents died, new criminals took their place. And today, AG-01 is completely devoid of ordinary people. The only ones left are criminals or those with a criminal mindset. Jeff, a reporter who came to AG-01 2 years ago, was one of the latter. Now he is sitting in an old bar in the middle of the city. It was a store with nothing good to see, including tables with a strong smell of cheap synthetic liquor and mold growing on the walls and ceiling. Even in the city of outlaws, it was difficult to find a store of this low quality. Jeff also doesn't like this store. I've been visiting this place every month for 2 years, but I've never once felt anything good about it. The reason why he was killing time in a store where it was difficult to find even a single customer was simple. This is because you have to meet someone while avoiding other people's gaze. And the person I was waiting for just entered the store. He was a man whose entire body was drenched, like a rag soaked in water. The man looked around and found Jeff and approached him. Instead of greeting him, Jeff nodded. The man hesitated and then sat down across from Jeff. What is that thing? Jeff took a palm-sized case from his pocket and placed it on the table. The man quickly tried to pick up the case but stopped. This is because Jeff also took out a laser pistol. That side first. Oh, yes, that's right. The man took out a small terminal from his pocket and handed it to Jeff. Well, the movements of the recently arrived cubs are strange. We've already met 20 times this month alone. Which cartel do you belong to? Well, you can check the file yourself, so please. A man trembling and begging. Even as he spoke, his eyes were only focused on the case. But Jeff had no intention of granting his request yet. If you don't answer properly, I'll pretend it never happened. I ask again. What cartel do you belong to? Shinoni. It's the Shinoni cartel. Shinoni. When a familiar name came up, Jeff scratched his short-bearded chin. Recently, I heard that a pirate group called the Shino family, or the Shino Alliance, is active throughout the universe. Normally, it is rare for the Space Dog cartel to link up with each other, but the Shino Alliance is a large organization with as many as 6 cartels united into one. Shinoni is one of the cartels that joined the Shino Alliance. Last time, I said that a lot of smugglers came in and out. Did they also meet with the separatists? Well, I'm not sure about that. I don't think we met back then. Shinoni is a group of pirates who are notorious for smuggling dangerous creatures. However, there are no particularly rare creatures living in JER-11. Same goes for AG-01. He might have changed his business to human trafficking, but there is nothing particularly fun about the Shinoni he knew here. Is this a new funding source for the separatists? It seems like those bomb bastards have run out of credit lately. And that. While he was lost in thought, looking at the terminal in his hand, a man's voice woke him up. Well, one of the guys I know lives in a sewage treatment plant. He's a friend who talks a lot, so he's called a talker, but sometimes he goes out and picks up useful things. That's okay. Get to the point first. Yep. 2 days ago, in the early morning, a talker saw something above the treatment plant. It is said that a huge dragon with wings disappeared while flying in the sky. A dragon with wings. Aren't you seeing the wrong pirate ship? Oh, no. You know there are no boats floating around there. Jeff narrowed his eyes at the man's words. When you think of a winged dragon, one thing comes to mind. Galagon, the space dragon, a being that only comes down in legend among sailors. Of course, Jeff knows it's not a legend. If it were a fantasy entity, it would not have existed in the Megacorp genetic database. As far as he knows, Galagons do not inhabit the JER-11 star system. You saw a dragon in the sewage treatment plant. Yes, you're right. You can't see anything clearly up there even during the day because of the fog, so how are you supposed to see it at dawn? Yes. Well, I came here to buy information, not to listen to bullshit. Seeing him trying to get up and pack his case again, the man hurriedly spoke. Shadow. I saw a shadow reflected in the fog. Shadow. The shadow was so large that it obscured the entire sewage treatment plant. I received the file that was filmed and recorded, right? It's in there. The man shouted, pointing his finger at the case Jeff was holding. In this city overrun with criminals, manipulating photos like that is not a problem. However, the probability that the man in front of me would do such a thing was slim. A dragon with wings. The Shinoni cartel and Galagon suddenly appear. It was far from the information Jeff wanted. This is because he came here to cover the corruption of separatists in the first place. However, the experience I gained while working as a journalist for a long time is telling. What that man said should not be taken lightly. I'll have to check. Well, I told you everything I know. So please. It wasn't the information I wanted, but it was still worth investigating. Jeff opened the case and took out a pill. I'll read the rest of Smile after seeing the contents. Well, that is, if you don't like it, quit. Oh, no. Jeff threw the pill on the table and the man swallowed it hungrily. A moment later, his body collapsed onto the chair. A strangely happy smile appeared on his face. Then I'll contact you later. Jeff got up and left the drugged man alone. As he left the store, heavy rain greeted him. The rain was so great that it could be said that the sky was falling. Despite the pouring rain, people walked around without using umbrellas. In AG-01, there are only a handful of days a year without rain. This is because after TNC started neglecting the planet, there was a problem with the terraforming machine and the precipitation was completely messed up. Is that all? Facilities for treating waste and wastewater were also poorly managed and were extremely underdeveloped. Even now, the streets were full of unpleasant moisture and odor caused by rain and garbage. Tisk. 2 years had passed and Jeff clicked his tongue at the smell that he still couldn't get used to. He took out an electronic cigarette that was stronger than the smell and put it in his mouth. It's not long now. The reason why the renowned Daily Mars reporter stayed on this shitty planet for 2 years was because the reward was that attractive. This coverage was commissioned by Prime Capital's Zhao family. The Zhao family said that if things went well, they promised to give him the position of head of the reporting team at the Daily Mars Titan branch. There isn't much left until that dream comes true. We must persevere until the end. After finishing his cigarette, Jeff put on the hood attached to his clothes. He, like everyone else, blended into the street where it was pouring heavily with rain. Hey, you talker. Are you going out today too? The man who was called a loudmouth answered the voice from behind him without even turning his head. If you want to make a living, you have to work. Anyway, you fucking diligent bastard. Hey, let's go together too. If you're going to follow me, take a mask, a flashlight, and a bag. In the sewage treatment plant located underground, two vagabonds headed toward a passageway leading to the ground. The high-tech facility once managed by noble capital has now become a den of vagrants. The computer that was still alive was automatically managing it, but that was it. No one knows when it will stop, and no one cares. The same goes for the hallway the two walked down. Instead of surveillance cameras and security androids, the place was filled with garbage and dirt, so it was safe to say it was a ruin. I saw it a few days ago, is that true? Of course. You saw the picture too. It was so fucking dark I couldn't even see clearly. It's dark, Naimi. You can see it clearly just by looking at it. You know that weakling. He said there was someone who wanted a photo I took. Someone asked for a picture of me looking like an asshole. Okay. You son of a bitch. The two left the hallway and came up to the ground while chatting. Contaminated water that had not been properly purified was collected on top of an abandoned sewage treatment facility. Due to the continuous rain, the water volume had increased so much that it looked like a reservoir. Of course, you can quickly tell that this is not a reservoir by looking at the tremendous stench that can be smelled from afar, the gas and toxic fog on the surface of the water. As soon as the two got on the ground, they immediately put on masks covering their noses and mouths and prepared for work. You're lucky. The rain has stopped. Good. Then let's start right away. The tramp who came up with me slipped from his seat while talking. Fuck you. Be careful even if it doesn't rain. If you make a mistake and fall into that area, you're screwed. It sucks from the beginning. The man cursed and used the light of the flashlight to check the substance on his shoes. The shoes were covered with a pitch black substance reminiscent of tar, and an unusual substance that could not be distinguished as liquid or solid. What's this? Then I go first. While the man was examining the substance on his shoes, the talker went about his business. His job is to search for corpses abandoned near the contaminated water pool. In AGO1, hundreds of casualties occur every day for various reasons, such as deaths due to terrorism, victims of crime, etc. Even in cities with wealthy people, people die frequently. And the bodies dumped here are usually unrelated criminals. If you search the corpses, you can pick up things like cheap drugs or a laser pistol. If you're lucky, you can rip parts off the cyborg's corpse. Amidst a thick toxic fog, the braggart moved forward, relying on his mask and flashlight. Oh, we found a body. Soon he found a body lying on a pile of garbage filled with sewage. When I hit the corpse with my foot, the corpse catfish that were attached to it ran away. Let's see. There is no pistol. Aha. You bastard, you left the medicine behind. Good. The loudmouth let out a small cheer. It's a cheap drug, but it's not a bad start. He took the case containing the drugs and continued to look around. Oh, fourth body. Are you lucky today? Today the profits were better than usual. As the fog thickened, his old backpack gradually swelled. As I was enjoying my new loot, I heard the sound of waves lapping behind me. I looked back to see if there was a man with me, but there was no one there. Did I hear it wrong? After brushing it off as a minor issue, he tried to focus on his work again. Unless his ears heard the sound of water again. What? I heard it clearly this time. The loudmouth hurriedly illuminated the surface of the water with a flashlight. All I could see was eerie black darkness. It was impossible to see what was underneath the dirty sludge. Could it be a corpse catfish? Big talkers have been here hundreds of times. Until now, I have never seen a creature bigger than a corpse catfish. However, the problem was that the sound of water I heard this time was something different. It was a sound made when something much bigger and more massive than a genetically modified catfish or something was moving. Suddenly he remembered what he saw here 2 days ago. A shadow so large that it covered the entire polluted lake appeared and disappeared. The dragon is here. If the owner of the shadow is nearby, you must run away immediately. The brat hurriedly went back the way he came. A sickening sensation every time you take a step, a faint sound made by the waves shaking. Nothing had changed, it was the same, but he was feeling completely different now. Every element here was putting pressure on him. Hey! At that moment, the chatter stopped at the sudden sound of a voice. Where are you? It was clearly the voice of the tramp he had brought with him. I don't know exactly where it is, but it sounds pretty loud, so it's close by. There's no particular sense of camaraderie with outcasts, but in situations like this, it's much better to have someone you know by your side. And what if, by chance, a monster really appears in front of them? It takes two to increase the survival rate at least a little. Instead of calling the talking man, I walked in the direction of the voice. This is because I didn't want to draw the monster's attention by making a noise. While I was walking carefully, the sound of water passed by my ears again. He almost screamed as he turned on the flashlight. You crazy bitch. This is because a pitch-black figure stood tall above the contaminated water. Quote ellipsis. Quote. The hair on his entire body stood up all at once, and the teeth above and below clashed with each other. Due to the immense fear, my body went out of control for a moment. After a while, he realized that the target was not a monster. Looking at his clothes that had become shabby due to the black contaminated water and his body shaking every time he breathed, the other person was a vagabond just like him. He was standing with his back turned to the talker, with only his upper body exposed. You damn bastard. I thought you were going to freak out. The loudmouth walked towards the tramp, swearing harshly. The tramp, who heard the sound, moves his body and tries to turn around. At that time, a familiar voice was heard from behind. Where on earth has this brat gone? It was the voice of a colleague who had been calling him earlier. That means that the person in front of him is not someone he knows. Seeing the being who had completely turned his body, the talker opened his mouth. Just before the scream passed through my throat, it rushed forward. Ha! This guy is real. The man called several times, but there was no answer. Although the toxic fog that spreads here blocks the light, it does not block the sound. There is no way the loudmouth could not have heard his cries. Then there is only one answer. The loudmouth abandoned him and went back to the sewage treatment plant first. That fucking bastard is going home alone, damn it. Men don't have much experience climbing onto a sewage treatment plant at night. If they wander around alone and get lost, they have to wait until morning. Moreover, raindrops started falling from the sky again. Fuck. I came here for no reason. The man decided that there was no reason to be here anymore and walked into the underground passage. That's why he never noticed that the water behind him stirred and then calmed down. Watch next episode.